Novak, he is having a bit of a lonely ride at the moment.
Yeah, he's dropped back about 4 seconds or so behind Caden Minia, who continues to impress. Top 3 as a 13-year-old kid. That is just mind-blowing.
The future that kid's got.
Oh, my gosh.
Insane, insane. So it's going to be great to see that progression over, well, even just over this year. You know, we're going to see him pick up so much more speed, more skills. The skill set will improve, and I think we'll see him at other rounds where he's really fighting up the front there in these races.
Oh, I think so for sure. He's such a great kid. I know over the years I've managed to do a few motocross schools over in WA where he's come along. It's such a great family. Mum and dad, brother, they're such a tight unit. And it's quite funny. I remember he was only about 11, 12 years old or something. I mean, I managed to, and I'm quite proud, I got 7 Aussie junior titles, right? He was 11 years old and I think he got to 6 or 7. He's going to end up with about 12. I think he's going to be somewhere around the numbers that your Chad Reeds and your Andos, etc. got to. If not, surpass those numbers. That's the kind of talent that we're talking about here, an absolute freak. And I love watching him at these Aussie junior titles where the pressure's on the line, you have to come up with the goods, and it takes a true champion to nail it when it really counts. And that's what we're seeing here. He's only got a couple of seconds on Benny Novak that we were talking about. This is the best I've ever seen Benny Novak ride.
Really good to see him up there in 4th place. A solid performance in the first moto as well. Kobe Drew had a good result in the last one. I'm not sure we've seen him yet. He was up there, made no mistakes, but Novak was always up there as well in that first moto, but looking comfortable on the bike. That Honda's working well underneath him. Just not quite on that pace at the moment with 4.5 minutes to go. This is the real testing time for the MX3 guys. They're, especially the young ones, especially the Minia that you're speaking of. They don't do these length races ever. It's not their natural race length. So to go out there and do this long a race and in these conditions, it's got to be tough on them.
Yeah, it does, and it's like, I guess we mentioned a little bit earlier on in the live streaming about, with a lot of these guys, it's not so much the fitness, it's the concentration. And when you have, you know, the odd occasional mind wanders off somewhere else, and on a track like this, you're going to hit the deck before you know it. You might be lucky enough to just make a little mistake, or you might go down like that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. These tracks seem to just reach up and grab you a lot of the times. You go down as so fast before you can even realize it. But have a look at the lines. I mean, there's 3 or 4.
Now, we're on screen, yeah, and look, something's changed at the head of the pack. We just had a look at the timing, it's saying plus 1.3. I'm not sure if we've had a mistake from Ryder Kingsford or if Blake Fox has absolutely dropped the hammer, but no, looking at the lap times, Ryder Kingsford just put in a 2:01, so certainly a mistake or something's happened for him in the last lap, and it's dropped him back into the clutches of Blake Fox, which we can see on screen at the moment. Now, these next couple of laps are going to be telling because we've got 3 minutes on the clock. And let's see if we can look closely at Ryder Kingsford and see if we can see a difference in the demeanour and how he's carrying himself. It looks like Blake Fox is just letting it all hang out.
I think Fox is putting in at the moment. I would say there was a small mistake, but I think he's responded also, Kingsford. He looks like, yeah, he did close in on him, but it hasn't closed anymore. But what do we got left? 2 minutes 40. So there is, what are we saying? 3 laps? 3 more laps to go. That's still a long time in this race and plenty of time for Blake Fox to get up there and put that pressure on. And there's the pressure right there. Wow, what a save that was by Kingsford. That is one area you do not want to get sideways and out of control on.
Well, those whoops, they're the traditional roller whoops that you sometimes get on motocross tracks. And what we get here at Wonthaggi, they stay nice and rounded on top, but they get this really sharp, scalloped part to the bottom half of it. And what you need to do, you have to stay in the top 2/3 of those whoops. If you let any of your wheels, it doesn't matter front or back, go down to that bottom third of the whoop, it hits a really sharp ledge and it almost either throws you over the bars or slows your momentum right down. Now, Ryder Kingsford let both of his wheels drop right the way down there, and I'm sure that's something, he's a quick learner, he won't let that happen again.
Realistically, that should have allowed Fox to jump straight up there and pounce on that situation. But again, Kingsford he's staying composed.
Well, I believe what I saw in the very next corner is Ryder Kingsford slightly tagged the hay bale in the left-hander after that whoops, and I could just see in the bottom left-hand of the corner, I could see Blake Fox just sent an explosion of hay bale in the air. Now, I think that would have slowed down any form of momentum that he may have gained catching up to Ryder Kingsford there was destroyed by that hay bale.
Yeah, that on screen a second ago was exactly what we spoke of earlier in our track preview. That was those whoops that have really played havoc on a lot of riders. You can see, from a rider point of view, it is a horrible section to go through because you just can't keep that good momentum going through. You're just bouncing and hitting, and it just it doesn't seem like there's any forward momentum through it. And these younger riders are really struggling to get through it, and the small amount of power doesn't help in that situation either.
The small amount of power, and you've got to remember these younger kids, they don't have as much strength. They might be tall and lean, they haven't developed the muscle yet. So to hang on to one of these bikes, that's still, yeah, they might not have as much power, but they're still as tall as a big 450, you know. So they've got to try to hold on to these bikes in some very tricky and tough technical sections, that's for sure. 15 seconds to go on the clock before these guys are going to get this race round up, and they're going to receive the last lap board. So they'll be on 2 laps to go at the moment, and Blake Fox,
yep,
he knows that the overall is on the line here, and he's reeled him into the point of he's in roost range at the moment. So, you know, he's copping a little bit of roost from that Yamaha 250, but he's ready if the opportunity presents itself. I don't like that line there. However, it does tend to make up a little bit by the time they do the on-off section there.
Well, desperate times right now. It's the Blake Fox really wanting to put that pressure on. The bike's sitting very well underneath him.
He's such a tall kid. He makes it look really stable and settled, doesn't he? And Ryder Kingsford managed to pull out about half a second right there. But they're about to receive the last lap board here. It's go time. And another little mistake from Blake Fox right there. He's dropped back a good...
Can't afford to do that, you know. We saw Kingsford get straight around. Yellow flag is out. Bad timing. No, there is Kingsford, so he is still okay. Blake Fox is there, still in striking range. That is the downed rider that we saw the yellow flag for. Another rider down in the next turn. So these riders are very, very much struggling with these conditions as we head towards the finish line. They should receive the last lap board around this time. There it is. Blake Fox has one more lap to try and make this happen. It's all or nothing right now for the overall. Still a good way to start out your series, but if he wants that overall, he's really going to have to push for it. There is 46. Kobe Drew had a great first moto. Was up there in the, it was a top 3, I think it was, or yeah, 3rd place in the first one. He sits back there in 5th at the moment.
He does. We've also got Caden Minia. Those two are going to be very close to tied on points, and Benny Novak was also in the mix. Yeah. Those 3, it's going to, we'll have to, we'll try to keep you updated with those points because all 3 of those riders have been exceptionally consistent. However, it's one thing to be consistent, but you need to be consistently brilliant, and that's what Ryder Kingsford and Blake Fox have both been. If things stay the way they are, they're going to end up with a win apiece, but Ryder Kingsford will be the one that comes out on top. Now, having followed Ryder pretty closely from these last few years, I'm telling you, it's going to be a long shot for him to make a mistake and lose it from here. He's got a good head on his shoulders for such a young junior, and he very, very rarely makes mistakes. So from here, I think he's just going to ride it on in, and it's going to be very, very tough for Blake Fox. We're coming through the last third of the track, but as we know, this is the most treacherous part of the circuit.
He's been solid through this part, though. Every single lap, especially down into this part, he's been very confident. Oh, there is Fox, though. He's right there, so any kind of mistake, he leads up into those big rolling whoops.
And here's where you need to make the decision. Ryder Kingsford, what do you do? Do you just smoothly make your way through here? Well, no, he did that exceptionally well. And I think he's managed to pull that lead out again. He's fast through this section here, and he's got 2 corners to go. Let's hope that he keeps it, no problem whatsoever. He's managed to keep it on 2 wheels. What an incredible ride for the Yamaha junior rider. Ryder Kingsford takes heat number 2 and the overall victory in the Maxxis tyres MX3 here at Wonthaggi. What an incredible ride.
Fantastic ride. Really shows the talent in this field, doesn't it? And what we can expect as we move forward in this championship. A lot of guys are going to learn a lot from this class. excellent work to develop this class and create it so that we can improve all of our upcoming riders.
And like we mentioned earlier on, of course, the ability to have a junior to be able to get in there and race with these guys, it's incredible stuff. He must be so proud of himself at the moment, as he should be. His parents, his team, an amazing job for the GYTR Yamaha racing rider. Caden Minia there, he's a little ways back, but in third place, very, very strong. Oh. And as we can see, number 46 there, Kobe Drew, is making a late race charge as well.
Got held up.
Caden Minia will hold on for third place.
He's happy.
He's pretty stoked, and so he should be. Very, very impressive ride.
Well, if Kobe got up into fourth, then that possibly could get him the third place overall.
Oh, we got riders down everywhere. Wow.
I think that's Justin Harrow right there on the number 3. That's unfortunate. From out of Dubbo. We've worked with him out there. He's got a great facility out there and some very fast riders out Dubbo, so unfortunate for him to be on the ground. He was having a good run there. Yeah, look, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that late race pass from Kobe Drew is going to be enough to secure that third place overall on the day. A 3 and a 4. We just need to confirm Caden Minia's position in that first race. I believe it was a 5th place. So yes, correct. Kobe Drew will take third place overall in the day. Fantastic job from him. As we just wait for a few of our final riders to come around and clear the track. These kids are just finishing off a very challenging day for them here at Wonthaggi. As we look at the Moto number 2 results, Ryder Kingsford takes the win, not on a YZ85, he is on the 250. Blake Fox, he is in second. Caden Minia runs there in third. Cody Drew. Ben Novak with another good ride. Brock Flynn was putting a charge in there early, but maybe a little incident there slowed his pace up as well. Jack Mather also up there. Tyan Keane had a good race. Connor Towell after a great start back there in 10th place.
Yeah, Liam Atkinson there is expecting a little bit more from the WA rider back there in 11th place. We said the factory KTM rider Ryan Alexanderson in 13th, back in 14th, Campbell Williams. Some big names back and out of the top 10 there. Rory Fairbrother as well down in the list.
We're really looking forward to seeing these guys at the next rounds. It's really a great class, so really looking forward to it as we head down to Rihanna with our top 3 places.
What an awesome way to kick off the season for the Maxxis MX3 for 2021. Congratulations to Caden Minia on the KTM. Congratulations, mate. Awesome way to kick off your season.
Yeah, just had a good start, carried on my race, and yeah, I was feeling good.
Our youngest rider in the category, Caden Minia on the KTM bike. And then we have in second place on the gas cast machine, Blake Fox. You took victory in Moto 1, second place in Moto 2. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for that. Again, track got beat up. Like to give up a rider. I knew he'd be on if he had a good start in that second one, and yeah, he got out front. Managed to get up, make the pass. Hit a bit of a dead spot there for a couple of laps, and he got back around me and tried to fight back. Just ran out of time, and yeah, get up to the boys. They're all riding unreal, so yeah.
Awesome job by Blake Fox, and taking out the victory in the second moto of the day on the Yamaha Junior Racing Team. Congratulations, Ryder Kingsford. Awesome job.
Yeah, first moto I got off to a pretty average start and didn't get the greatest of positions at the start. And this time I got second moto, I got a lot better start, got the whole shot, and then Blake passed me, and then I just sort of rode solid, and Blake made a mistake, and I capitalised on it, and then just rode my own race, and it came out with the win. So super stoked, thank you.
Congratulations to our podium getters, Caden Minia, Blake Fox, and Ryder Kingsford in the Maxxis MX3 at Moto number 2.
Well, what a fantastic job from those 3 riders in the top 3. As we have a quick little look at the highlights package here, and it all started off for Ryder Kingsford with that whole shot. We see back here, Caden Minia making a pass with a little bit of help from Connor Towell, making a mistake there with Benny Novak trying to get in there in the mix as well.
Well, if they continue to keep this kind of momentum going into the rest of the series, I think we're in for a really mixed up result as well. I don't think that these two will dominate. They're certainly going to be up the front here at pretty much all the rounds, but I think we are going to throw a few more names in the mix as we get into the next round as well.
Yeah, I think we will. However, I think these two have stamped their authority already in the series. I think Caden Minier, he's going to have occasions where he's in here. This track really does suit him. The hard-packed tracks, you would think, oh, he's from Western Australia. Perhaps it won't. However, I've seen him ride everything exceptionally well. But the man of the day, what a champion. And he's just a junior. The yellow plate there showing you. All right, guys, off for a commercial break now. Don't go anywhere, though, because when we come back, it's MX2 time. Stick around. Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We have got race 2 of the MX3 in the books, and we've got plenty of action still to come. But before we do, we're going to go down now to Danny Ham, who is with Mr. Motocross himself, Stephen Gall.
Stephen Gall, 4 times Mr. Motocross champion, 5 times Australian champion. Steve, you've seen a lot of evolution through the sport of motocross. You've been around a very long time. You've seen a lot of changes. How does it compare to when you won your championships, and say how the championships of today stack up?
Well, it really is very, very different, Danny. Back in my day, in the mid-70s when I started, it was very unprofessional. And I think I brought a lot of professionalism to the sport, both in training, both in psychology and the mental side of things with the psychology. So it's really evolved over the years. And we went into a bit of a hiatus on motocross for a while and more into supercross. And then the fitness wasn't as important. But nowadays, the fitness is critical. It's really, really important. And the sport's really jumped to a higher level because of the necessity to have that fitness out there.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved, so that level has definitely come up a lot more, hasn't it? It's really something that you see the top level riders have to be on the top of their game now.
Oh, they most certainly have to, and it's just critical. And you look at America now, they're all super fit guys. They train for many, many months beforehand the seasons get started, and it's just so critical.
One thing, Steve, also that you are very well known for is your versatility. You did a good stint in motocross, obviously. You also tried your hand at some flat tracks, some road racing, and even in the four wheels. Tell us a little bit about that, how it helped you across the board with all your skills, and then why aren't we seeing more of that today?
Yeah, well, the first thing, Danny, is I love the sport and I wanted to try everything, you know, with road racing, desert, all those things. And I wasn't scared to go fast either, whether it was a road race or 100 mile an hour, 160 kilometres an hour out in the desert at Fink. It didn't really scare me too much. But nowadays, well, let's go back. Why I did it was it really helped my skill on the motocross bike, and that was where I was being paid to ride the motocross. So mid-corner speed, different aspects of motocross is very, very important. So it really, really made a big difference. Nowadays, it's too difficult for the guys to do this because there's big sponsorship. They can't really afford to go and get hurt maybe in a one-off deal like the Fink. So I can understand why they're not doing it, but I really think that they're missing out, particularly dirt track side, mid-corner speed, braking, drifting. It's a big help to overall technique.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, the big question though, I guess, for today, round one, brand new championship. You've been around a long time, you know a lot of the riders. Put your money where your mouth is. 1, 2, 3 for the day. How do you think it's going to pan out?
Oh, mate, you've really caught me there. So I haven't really analysed the game that much with the current entries. But in the MX2, I'd have to lean to Kyle Webster at the moment. This is a sand track. He likes sand. He comes from WA. I think Kyle will be right up there. And in the MX1, well, that's tough. It's going to be really tough. Really don't want to put a name out there on any one rider because I want to sit on the fence a little bit because it is going to be tough.
Stephen Gore, absolute legend in motocross. Thank you very much for your time. It's great to get an insight as to what you've seen in the changed motocross over all these years.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. It's a great sport. I still love it after so many years, and let's keep powering to the future.
Well, fantastic job there, Danny. A great chat there with Mr. Motocross himself, Stephen Gall. He's done so many things, hasn't he? It's just incredible. Well, now we're going to head down to Rihanna. She's down with Nathan Crawford down on the starting line.
Well, the guys look like they're actually getting set up at the moment. There is Crawford on screen right now. You can see him getting himself ready for this start. Have a look at the forks there. I'll point this out to the people that may not know at home. The forks are compressed down. Now, there's a little start button on these bikes that you may see the mechanics and the riders activate before they do a start if we do get a shot later on, either today or during the series. Now, that just holds the forks down. It transfers a different weight towards the front rather than the back, and that helps him launch out of this gate and really tries to stop that front wheel lifting up off the ground and get him a much better start.
Another thing you would have noticed as well is Nathan Crawford there grabbing the front crutch part of his pants, pulling that up. Now, a lot of riders do that. It kind of looks a bit weird. You're like, why would they do that? Well, what it does is any slack in the back part of your pants that when you take off can actually slip and cause you to slide backwards. Now, if you grab that front part of your pants and pull all that slack up and out of the way, it kind of prevents you from sliding back any further when you drop off. So it's something that we see more and more these days, and it definitely helps without a doubt.
I don't know if I like Crawford's starting spot, though. Complete outside. There is a different way of looking at this start line. If you're a confident starter, you could be in the middle there. You know that you're going to jump out well and you can control the first turn. However, if you're on the outside and you don't get a jump, you are going to get squeezed out. So for Crawford to be out this wide, he has to be confident that he is going to get a decent start and be able to sweep around the outside of everyone in this first turn. If he doesn't, this could backfire massively and he could be seeing himself way back in 20th place. Now, don't get too concerned. This is just a warm-up lap so they can see the tracks. And yeah, these guys will figure out exactly what's going on. While they do that, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Moto number 2 is up next.
And welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores here at Wonthaggi. And what a day it has been so far. Let's head down to Rihanna. She's down on the starting line. What have you got for us, Rihanna?
Yeah, how exciting is it to have motocross racing back live in Australia? You guys were questioning why Nathan Crawford from the Circuit Yamaha team had chosen this outside gate as they took off for their sighting lap. I just questioned the mechanic. He said if you have a look down ahead of him, this part of the track, it is the driest part of the track. Less wheel spin, more traction. He is going for this whole shot as we start the Moto 2 of this MX2 race. Can't wait.
Great little pickup there, Rihanna. I tell you, I know there's been some mud races here. Well, not just here at Wonthaggi, but a lot of different tracks around the country where quite often you'll find, actually Horsham is one where the middle will get ripped and get extremely muddy. But if you can get into the far outside, you can quite often get some nice grassy, a lot of grip and pull a massive hole shot. Let's take a look at the lineup for MX2 Moto 2, Danny Ham.
Zachary Watson is out there. Ricky Latimer, Alex Larwood was very fast earlier on.
Incredible.
Jay Wilson, we expect to be out there. James Davison, Jesse Bishop, Brandon Steele, Jesse Dobson, who had a very fast race, a few moments though in that Moto number 1. Reese Budd is also out there on the 22.
Yeah, let's briefly touch on Moto 1 and what an incredible race for Kyle Webster, who was almost untouchable. It was only really Alex Larwood who was able to sort of semi-stay with him, and wonder if Kyle Webster will be able to come up trumps again here in Moto 2 and make it a double victory. We're about to find out.
Well, the guys, there's plenty of nervous down there on the start line at the moment. MX2 is about to get underway for Moto number 2. And there was plenty of pace early on. The 5-second board has turned sideways. We are set to get this one underway. Who will jump out first? Oh, wheel spin by Crawford there. Is that going to hurt him? I think so. Yeah. Out wide. Oh, he's going to sweep around. Not too bad a start. There is a Circo Yamaha right there in the middle. A Yamaha up the inside. I can't pick up that number. It doesn't appear to be someone that is one of the top guys, I don't think. But what a start. One rider down in the first turn, a Husky rider. As we try and pick up our riders, there is Jay Constantino. Is that
Jai Constantino. Yep. Another top 3. Looks he's either second or third.
Another rider just
there
down
we
the
see
back.
Alex Larwood. He's model. Kyle Webster is ahead of Reese Budd there as he already got himself into the lead. He has. Now that spells disaster for the rest of the pack. Reese Budd, an incredible start. But Jai Constantino, I can't say enough about this young lad. An incredible ride in that first one until he had a mistake and dropped himself back into the middle of the pack. But he was top 3 for so long. Kyle Webster's already starting to check out.
There is Crawford up the inside. So a great start by Crawford certainly helped, but the hole shot has been awarded to the 22 machine of Reese Budd. The 7 hole shot award to Reese Budd. So a good start. We expected Reese Budd to be up there more last race. A few little problems, I think. He is one of the contenders that should be running up the front, but I tell you what, there is no one at the moment as it sits that's going to be able to run the pace of this guy, the 96 of Kyle Webster on that Honda.
Well, when he's in a position like this, it's just so rare to see, you know, any massive form of mistakes from Kyle Webster. He's just so rock solid when the track gets deep and soft. And traditionally, he doesn't normally get great starts. So to see him come out after such a good, solid victory in that first race, to come out and do what he's doing here, I think it's going to be pretty clear sailing. I don't want to make too many predictions here, but to go 1-1 at round 1 here at Wonthaggi will be incredible, an amazing way to start the season for the factory Honda rider.
One guy I did catch a brief glimpse of a moment ago, as I'll get back to that in a second, as we see Jai going around the outside of Reese Budd. That was a brave move right there. 184 also having some troubles. It's Emma
Milicevic.
Yes.
Yeah. She's one of Australia's best women female racers. Incredibly strong out there on the bike, and so good to see her out there mixing it up in the MX2 category.
Well, Crawford, a great run around the outside, more momentum coming out of that rut, and got himself over that jump just that little bit faster, and has helped him make that pass on Reese Budd. Now sits in 3rd place. So that start, although I doubted it, I tell you what,
he didn't even jump out of the gate well. Imagine if he didn't start wheel spinning before that drop of the gate. Now, we had prime position because the cameraman was right next to him. His wheel, Jai, big mistake, nearly going down. But are we starting to see the kind of lap times that we can see from Nathan Crawford, where if he can sneak up into second place and get a little bit of clear air in front of him, he can perhaps start to travel along at the same lap time speeds as Kyle Webster. It's a tall shot, it's a long call, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I tell you what, this is exactly where our cameras need to be right now. This 6 riders right here, this is perfect. Wilson, everyone. You're going to have Dobson coming on the back of that as well. You know, Jai Roberts, I was going to bring that up. Jai Roberts returning to racing after a huge hiatus after a big crash. So you got all of these guys there. Is Roberts on the 100 right on screen right now. He has spent nearly 2 years off the...
He couldn't remember anything when he came back. You almost need to teach himself how to talk, walk, do all the things that we take for granted. He had to learn all those things again. So it wasn't just a matter of, oh, let my body and my mind heal and I'll get back on the bike. He had to learn how to be a human again. So to see him out here racing at this level is absolutely incredible.
I spoke with Jai well before this round, leading up to it, and his main goal was just to go out there and control himself. Now, we know Jai was one of the top guys. He was one of the fastest out there, and he knows in his mind he can still do that, but he's controlling himself. He has to pull himself back a bit. He just needs to get through this race, tick off some laps, tick off some races, and move forward at each round. And right now, everything is perfect. He just needs to keep going the way he is, and it just proves he's got the speed right now. So excellent, excellent start for Jai Roberts.
Well, I'm not sure how long, speaking of Jai's, I'm not sure how long he's going to stay up here in second place, but this guy deserves every second that he gets on live television. Jai Constantino, what a breakthrough race for this guy. Victorian, he's been through a lot of injuries. He's got so much potential. It doesn't matter if you watch this kid on a BMX, on a mountain bike. I like to call him the trail rat. That's what he likes to go by. It's his nice little nickname. He is so talented on anything 2 wheels, but he is yet to show his full potential, and he's out there doing that at the moment.
And in front of all these big name riders, big teams, what a ride by him. Crawford still sits there in third, but I tell you, he has got some pressure right now from Dobson. Jesse Dobson, the 14 machine, just to your right of the screen. He is really closing in. Was right on the back wheel just a moment ago. Maybe a slight mistake as they come past our mechanics area. Have a look at the gap that our leader has right now. There is Jai in second place. Dobson now in the screen, and Crawford and then Dobson as they come past. There is Jay Wilson with a much better ride this time around.
And it looks like Reese Budd's managing to make his way back a little bit. He's gone from up there in the top 2 back to 6th place now. Now, I know Reese Budd, he came through in my junior program. He's such a talented rider, but he always suffered from a little bit of arm pump, right? Now, if you watch him really closely, he rides super strong, elbows really high. He's such a bulldog of a rider, and on a track like this where you need to stay nice and loose, you can be susceptible to pumping up a little bit. So let's hope, have a look at the intensity that Dobson threw it into the corner. Now, Hammy, you and I have been teammates a number of times, right? Now, you would back me in when I say you never want to get beaten by anyone out there on the track, but the worst person to get beaten by is your teammate, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to get beaten by your teammate. Now, these two have got their own little battle going on. There is nothing worse than having, it's like a red flag being waved in front of you, like you're over in Spain with the run of the bulls or something. You're just like, please, I need to get past you, and they'll do whatever it takes to get past. However, might not want to take each other out. That might not go down too well.
No, last thing you need is to face the wrath of someone like Gav from Serco as you come back into the track if you've taken your fellow team rider down. But there's a little section to the track, isn't there, that one of these riders is stronger than the other. We saw Dobson right on the back wheel as we got through those big sweeping left-handers and right-handers. And this part here seems to be a bit better for Crawford. By the time they come back across in front of the mechanics area, Crawford has that gap out just a little bit more. Tailing on the back of that now, though, look at that. Larwood has cleared Wilson.
Yep.
and he is moving forwards. Wow, what a ride.
He's on a charge, the young 17-year-old. Incredible ride from Larwood, especially after his second place. He's not going to want to be back there. He's going to want to try to get past these guys. However, it's no mean feat to pass the two Serco Yamaha boys. However, while this is happening, it's given Jai Constantino a little bit of reprieve. He's managed to have a little bit of room to be able to play around by himself. And in effect, it almost feels like a midweek practice session where you're just out there trying to hit your markers, not make any mistakes, string together lap after lap after lap. It's almost like you're running off the stopwatch. And it's at times like this when it's good for your mechanic to be putting out lap times for you so you can try to hit your markers time and time again.
Well, one thing I do want to point out to you as I look across to our timing screen is that our leader did a neat 150.038. Larwood in 5th, up 49.4. He is the fastest guy on track at the moment by half a second over the second fastest, who is leading this race.
Yes, that is incredible stuff from Larwood. Let's hope he can keep that up because, you know, much like what we saw with Ryder Kingsford, the young gun who just came out and won the second moto and, of course, the overall in MX3. That's the similar kind of effort that we're seeing here from Alex Larwood. You need to remember how young this kid is. Larwood, he was in juniors 2 years ago.
He almost got that shot right there. Oh, is that Jai Roberts? It looks like it is. It's a fair way back to what we just saw our lead riders. So possibly Roberts has put it down somewhere. That is unfortunate. He has moved himself back quite... oh, no, he's still there in 8th place. Is that correct as we look at our... No, he looks like he might be a little further back. Is that right? Unfortunate for him, but you know what? It's just a learning curve, getting back up there in this and getting back into the flow of racing at pro level in motocross, as we see our lead rider here in Kyle Webster, the 96 machine, still holding a commanding 9.2 second lead. But let's have a look in the background, see if we can see where these Yamaha riders definitely... Jai Constantino is about to get some pressure from Crawford. Oh, a lap rider goes down right in front of him. Oh, Jai has had to make an evasive manoeuvre and get around him. There is a good battle there. 4 riders all tighten themselves up at the moment.
And unfortunately, poor Jai Constantino was in the rut that lap rider had gone down.
Look at this.
And that has dropped him back into the clutches of these two boys. A double foot dab from Jesse Dobson. That will strain the old adductor muscles before you know it.
Jai is doing everything he can. Now, he made it around about 15 minutes last time, didn't he, before a mistake that put him back just a little bit, but the pressure is on right now as Crawford tries to blast around the outside. He's going to control the inside. He's going to have to push it in hard if he wants to make this pass. He certainly does. And Nathan Crawford has moved himself up into second place. Can Jesse Dobson do the same right now and not let Crawford get away? It's almost like Crawford has found another gear.
Yeah, it is almost like he found another gear, and this is where Jai Constantino, as exceptional as the rider's been so far, he needs to not let this unravel. He needs to finish off the job that he started here. Now, let's have a quick look at the replay here in the pass with Nathan Crawford. Snuck it up the inside on a very technical part of the track where the bike can go side to side. Now let's... I was hoping they were going to show the little kick into the corner there.
Yeah, I thought they were going to show that again. It was a close moment, but when you're pushing those kind of levels, you really need... That last lap time can't be right.
We're waiting to have a look on screen because, ladies and gentlemen, our lap times are telling us that a 1:58 was done by Kyle Webster in the last time and a 1:51 from Nathan Crawford. Now, if that's correct, let's drop the gap down to only 4.5 seconds. Now, I'm just hoping it's just a little bit of a mistake, perhaps, from Kyle Webster, and he's going to get back on those rails again. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm trying to pick up back, if we can pan out just a little bit and have a look and see where Nathan Crawford is. If he actually, in fact, is 4.5 seconds back, we could have a race on our hands.
Well, if those times are correct, as we see that there is just entering into the corner right now is Crawford. So still a little ways back at the moment, not quite close enough, but we do see Dobson now putting all that pressure on Jai as they head up towards this tabletop. A couple more lapped riders are going to play into it. Larwood's speed that we saw a moment ago could be a little bit stalled as we see Dobson up the inside. It's a carbon copy from the lap before. Serco Yamaha riders moving past Jai as they go now into second and third place.
Now, a couple of corners back, I just saw a tiny little puff of smoke come out the back of Jesse Dobson's bike. So let's keep a look on that there. I know it's not exceptionally deep. The rain hasn't been falling. It's not too gnarly out there at the moment. So let's hope that was just a little one-off situation. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that one. Doesn't look to be doing any more of it.
These 250s are always on the limit around here, really working them hard to get them at their absolute potential. And there is Crawford coming past
Some of these
Serco.
shots we're getting today, the camera work is just spectacular. This shot right here showing him coming straight on is amazing. And the overhead drone shots that we've been getting is just, it's next level.
Sensational stuff. Webster still looking strong out in front now. I don't remember the camera looking like this the last lap around, and if you look in the background, the rains are back once again. There's been one race today that hasn't had a rain.
Yeah, the 125.
The 125.
Jack Simpson came in looking as if he'd just been out for a photo shoot, shall we say. Every other race, there's been some kind of storm that come through, and most of them have held some kind of hail. Now, I want to look through when our leaders come through at the end of this lap. I want to watch the last lap. The time stabilised, and we had Kyle Webster with a 151 and Nathan Crawford with a 151. Likewise, Dobson with a 151. Now, it looks to me as if Crawford may have edged just that little bit closer. We'll have to have a look at these times when they come across the finish line.
Very interesting fact to see how these riders are starting to settle into this race. Half race distance we're about to enter right now, so I guess they are taking a bit of a pause, you would think, in their riding, trying to maintain a little bit of energy towards the end of the race, you know, before they do a final big charge towards the last 5 or so minutes of this race. But their times are still pretty quick. They almost matched once again.
And they both dropped down 1 second faster than last time, both in the mid 152s. So Kyle Webster has responded, and he knows what he needs to do. And once again, we see him coming past the camera. He's got a good 4.5 to 5 second lead. Now, there's still 10 minutes to go in this race. Anything can happen. You need to bank on the fact of Kyle Webster's fitness. He can keep going at this pace all day long. However, I've seen many races where Crawford charges all the way to the finish. So it could come into a mind games thing here as Webster's bike steps out to the side entering that corner. Well, it's little things like that combined with, if you have a little look over your shoulder coming out of the corner and you see the guy in second has made up 2 meters on you, it can start to play on your mind a little bit. Yeah, well, it also happened the corner before with that one. He has made a couple of mistakes this lap, and you're right, these riders can see the guy in front, the guy behind, and you know when they've made up even 1 meter, and you start playing on your mind. Where am I going slow? Where am I going fast? What have I got to do differently? And all of a sudden, these little mistakes start showing up. And that's when you will have the rider catching you up more and more and more. Now, I just saw that on the little screen in the bottom right-hand part of the TV that you would have noticed WBR bulk nutrients rider Liam Andrews had some kind of drama. He was in with his mechanic there, and hopefully we can see him back out on the track ASAP. Another rider right there. Down. A rider right in front of him, in front of our lead rider, throwing himself on the ground. Who have we got in there? There, that's Liam Andrews who we're just talking about. So we've got some kind of mechanical problem going on. It looks to be front brake related there. It doesn't take much to bend a disc around here, does it? No, you fall over. And yeah, that disc can get all bent up, and it can actually lock up the front wheel as you go in the air. The last thing, if you are not familiar with riding a bike through the air, if your front wheel stops, you lose all your balance. It is very awkward to jump through the air like that. Now, rider we were speaking about a little bit earlier on, who had such an incredible second place in Moto number 1, Alex Larwood, number 5. He has managed to started to slow down his lap time just a little bit. He's a 154 in that last one, and that's dropped him ever so slightly off the back of the 2 Serco Yamaha riders. But it continues to be Kyle Webster from Nathan Crawford and Jesse Dobson. And both Webster and Dobson down into the 151s now. Yeah, yo-yo effect at the moment, isn't it? They'll all gain a little bit, lose a little bit.
It could be the lap riders that are slowing him down. Those little things right there where he had to step out of the rut and change lines just because he's a little bit too tight. Have a look at this, Serco. The two boys are together right now, so a little mistake somewhere around the track has certainly put the back of the 199 Crawford machine under fire from Jesse Dobson. I did think as they were coming through, it looked like there was a bit of more gap between Crawford and our leader, and this will show us why, because they are really in a battle at the moment. The two Serco Yamaha riders once again are going to be going at it. I'll tell you what, it's really going to be tough for these two to continue this sort of momentum forwards and not make these mistakes.
I tell you, this track is so difficult at the moment. My brain is hurting just trying to comprehend getting around this track. These guys are making it look no problem whatsoever. However, you need to remember 6 minutes still left on the clock, 25 minutes duration plus 1 lap. This is tough going out here on a track this tough, that we've got two teammates next to each other. This is really going to showcase who's been putting in the majority of the training, the hard work. Don't you just love a full roll of film from your roll-offs just flapping out the back?
Hugh McKay lost all vision when he went around there then. It's Dylan Wills, mechanic right there, just giving him some information as to what he needs to do, how long left in this race.
Kyle Webster has just dropped a 150.3 lap time, and that has stretched himself out another 2 seconds ahead of Nathan Crawford. He is really grabbing the bull by the horns here in Moto 2, the MX2 class, brought to you by Pirelli.
Crawford also has found a little bit of breathing space over the third place rider of Jesse Dobson. Now I know Dobson in the tighter stuff before the finish line got caught up behind a couple of lapped riders, and that's all it takes. Look at the gap he's got again, just from one small mistake. It's not really a mistake, but just didn't read the situation properly, Jesse Dobson, and got caught up behind that lapped rider and allowed him to get away. And mentally, that's hard. That almost, if you're mentally strong, you can overcome it, but it could be a breaking point for Dobson right now.
Well, that's a massive gap back to Dobson now.
It's huge. It's huge. So that might have been all it took for Crawford to keep that position there in second place. But I tell you, Dobson is not that far in front of Larwood right now.
Yeah, well, I briefly mentioned before about Nathan Crawford and how quite a few times in the past over the years, I've seen him come from terrible starts and charge right the way through. Now, I don't know what his off-season's been like. Technically, I don't know whether he's coming back from an injury or what, but we're about to see the Nathan Crawford that I know. He'll charge all the way to the finish line, and he's not going to fade at all. Unfortunately for him, he's up against the workhorse, the fittest of all of the MX2 riders, Kyle Webster, who only knows one speed. I can guarantee you he's got enough energy in the tank to do 40 minutes handy.
Without a doubt, he'll be able to make it all the way through to this one. And this is a textbook performance, isn't it, by Kyle Webster on screen. A few little mistakes here and there, but majority of his race has been almost perfection.
And did you just see there in that technical rut? Now, that's something that the really good riders do. Ruts typically are beautiful for the first 3 quarters. As you come out, they start to get a little bit bumpy and choppy, and they'll kick your bike around. He used the first half of the rut, and he didn't accidentally pop out of the rut. He chose to exit the rut 3/4 of the way through and drove through smooth, really nice dirt. That's incredible technique, and something that any of the kids at home that do any of their own form of riding, you need to watch this stuff carefully. You can pick up on some exceptional technique.
Really is finding some good lines, isn't he? He's developing his own lines. There is Reece Budd. He's also still continuing on, trying to... we're still right there on the back wheel of Wilson. Now, I was expecting a little bit more out of Wilson, but, you know, still solid performance to start the championship. We know that Wilson is very fast and will be up there in later championship rounds. But I definitely did expect Wilson to be up there just a little bit more.
Now, let me just quickly take our attention to our lap times here, and something that I'm really impressed with, and something that we should always try to remember. If you can try near the end of a race to keep your fastest lap time all the way towards the finish, you don't want to be dropping off 2 or 3 seconds a lap to your fastest. That means you're fading, you're not fit enough. And let's have a look here. Nathan Crawford, his fastest time was a 1:51. Well, the very last lap, Sure, he got a 153. The lap before, he did a 151, so he's keeping his times right the way up to his sprint pace. We've got Dobson, whose fastest time was a 151. The last lap, he was a 152. And this is really impressive from these guys, just to show that kind of pace. And it's not like they're easing their way into it. They're sprinting straight from the get-go.
Jay Wilson now another lap down, still holding off that charge from Reece Budd behind him as they work their way through these rolling whoops as well. Still looks very comfortable on the bike. A solid performance, but I know that in his mind he definitely wants to be up there as well, and no doubt he will be as we move towards the next round. There is Reece Budd just making his way through the left rider as well. And this track is choppy, especially through here. That inside line that Wilson just chose is something we saw on the MX3. It's a really nice line, nice and clean with no bumps. And I think at this point of the race, you really are looking for those lines that will just help in any way to conserve a bit of energy, make your life a little bit easier. The last thing you need to do is just keep beating yourself up every single time you go around. And I'll tell you, we're at the end of the race, mate. 1 minute left to go. There's only 2 laps for these guys. Have they crossed the line again this time around? Or is Webster going to get the last lap order round?
Well,
57 seconds? No. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, and all I can tell you is that Kyle Webster has pulled out a nice substantial 10-second lead. He's been relentless. He hasn't taken out big chunks at a time. He's just put lap time pressure on these riders and just gone, you know what, I'm going to stick to this time, and good luck trying to stay with me, because in order to do that, you need to minimise your mistakes, you need to hit your lines. Every single lap on a track like this, it's not easily done.
I can promise you, if you went up to those riders, as we just saw Reece Budd and Jay Wilson go through there, if you went up to any of these riders and said, what was the worst part on this track, it would be those rollers. That'll be their answer every single time.
Yes, without a doubt, for sure. I don't get arm pumped just looking at that. But, you know, the likes of Kyle Webster just make it look so easy coming through. But you got to remember, they train on this kind of stuff all the time. The more homework you can do midweek makes your weekends that much easier as well. And it's a prime example here. Kyle Webster out there on the factory Honda racing machine, the CRF 250R. What an incredible day it's been for the Honda team, and we must just briefly touch on, he's staring down the barrel of a clean sweep here, and Brett Metcalf won Moto 1 in the MX1 category as well. So Yuriv Konski would be all smiles down there. I know we've got some of the big bosses of Honda here today as well, and all the manufacturers represented exceptionally well here. What a great way to start the first round of a series with new promoter, with Motorcycling Australia, the Penrite Oils ProMX Australian Motocross Championships. Just an incredible way to start the series.
Webster around towards the finish line, and we should see the last lap board. There it is. One more time around for Webster on the 96 machine. And he still looks so comfortable on that bike right now, working his way through the rollers for the last time. And I can promise you, there is the biggest smile under that helmet right now. He was very happy after the first round as we interviewed him after his first win. He felt comfortable. He didn't even look like he was breathing hard. And I think, as you said, he is one of the fittest guys out there. He is not struggling at all.
No, he's doing it with ease at the moment, and he loves this part of the race. And in fact, I almost think sometimes he prefers to be battling with someone at this part of the race. You remember a couple of years ago, the last time we ran the National Championship, he was in a position battling with Wilson Todd, and it come right down to the wire. I remember watching those two battle, just going hammer and tongs right the way through to the final lap. This is a good, fun way to do it, though. This is a nice, not too much pressure on, just edging his way ever so close to the finish line. He's stretched out that lead now to 14 seconds over second place. What an immaculate day for the Honda rider.
I'll just point out, too, that that's Dylan Will just there. He just passed 24. He's just about to go past Chandler Burns. Chandler's in 10th.
I know.
He is lapped all the way through to 10th place. Will's up the inside there of Burns, trying to make that position up Wills was there in 11th. Now he sits in 10th, so one more spot for him. A solid ride to get top 10 in MX2 at this level. But on a track like this, there is just some guys that shine. And right now, the Honda rider of Kyle Webster has done absolutely everything right today.
He certainly has as he makes his way towards the finish line. What a day. He has barely seen nothing but daylight ahead of him as he comes through the final corner, up and over the finish line. A spectacular double victory for Kyle Webster and the factory Honda rider in the MX2 Moto 2 checkered flag right there, brought to you by Pirelli. And he is pumped. A big fist pump, double fist pump down onto the handlebars there. And as we were talking about before, Jai Constantino...
Crawford, Larwood.
Wow, where did Larwood come from? That was a very, very close finish. I need to quickly pay respect there to Jai Constantino holding on to 5th place, and that is his most impressive ride.
Wilson here trying to get to the end of the race as a few of the backmarker riders also having their own race right in the middle of this. Just to finish out the day, Bud in front of Wilson right at the end there.
Wow, that's coming right down to the wire. What a sensational win there for Kyle Webster, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We're off to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Why don't you just come in and throw a knife at me from the door? No hugs in the future, that's for sure. No.
Two really, really sensitive ones. Australian Motocross Champion and obviously MX Nationals.
I didn't say MX Nationals.
No, you didn't, but you did say, you said ProMX Australian Motocross.
ProMX, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores here at Wonthaggi. What an amazing race there. MX2 Moto 2 and a win by Kyle Webster. No, a clean sweep by Kyle Webster. Fantastic job.
Dominating performance, really schooled the rest of the field here today. Nathan Crawford came across in second place. Jesse Dobson, Alex Larwood really impressed with the way he rode. Jay Constantino, he is someone to watch for in the next few rounds as well.
So impressed with Jai. Great ride from Reese Budd as well. Jay Wilson, not quite what we expect from him. We'll see more later in the year. Hugh McKay from over in Tasmania. Jai Roberts, we spoke about him earlier. Fantastic comeback from injury. And Dylan Wills.
plenty of riders still out there working their way around and having an absolute ball racing at this level. There's a lot of good riders out there still to go. We're going to go down to Rihanna now with our winners.
What an awesome day of racing to kick off the season for 2021. The Pirelli MX2 Championship in third position on the Serco Yamaha bike. Jesse Dobson, congratulations, Jesse. As you just said off camera, it's been a hell of a day out there for you guys.
Yeah, it has. I feel like we've had everything thrown at us, from sun to rain to the cold wind. It's been pretty crazy. So I'm glad to get out of this one nice and safe and with a solid result. So
congratulations to be on the podium for the first event of the year. And in second place, we spoke about his gate choice at the start of the race. He started from the outside, but it did well for him on the podium in second place. Nathan Crawford, congratulations.
Yeah, that was a bit of a, I feel like it was a smart tactic for me. It was safe out there. There was always a bit of carnage in that first turn on the inside. So it's been a hell of a ride. The last 6 weeks ago today, I broke my shoulder, and it was a question mark whether I was even going to be here. And to land on the podium, honestly, I couldn't be happier. It's been a long 6 weeks. A lot of mental strength was tested, and yeah, just happy to be here.
It's an awesome day for the Serco Yamaha team, and taking out the victory once again for the Honda Racing team, we have Kyle Webster. Congratulations, Kyle. What an awesome day you've had so far.
Yeah, it's been great. So honestly, I couldn't have wanted to start the championship off in a better way. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say other than a massive thanks to our sponsors, my team, everyone who stuck behind us during the tough times during COVID, and yeah, to get the round win is a good thank you towards them, and yeah, no, it's much appreciated.
Just talk us through how difficult it has been here today. The conditions have thrown everything at you, but to get 2 wins, I mean, it's certainly been fantastic.
Yeah, it's just a classic day down here in Melbourne, 4 seasons in one day. So no, it was good. I'm stoked. You know, it was definitely tough. The track was gnarly, and shout out to Ross Beaton, who put in an awesome effort to keep the track the way it is with how much rain we got over this weekend. So thanks to everybody, and yeah, get ready for Canberra.
Congratulations to our 3 podium place getters for the Pirelli MX2 Moto 2. We had Jesse Dobson, Nathan Crawford and Kyle Webster.
Well, that's racing at its best right there, Danny Ham. MX2 category, and the boys racing for the wins overall. Dominant day for Kyle Webster on the Honda machine. You can see he had a good jump out of the gate here, as did Reese Budd, but sweeping across with the whole shot there, and a fantastic job. But have a look at this pass around the outside from Jai Constantino, making the pass on Yamaha rider Reese Budd. Rider going down here, but he is not the first or the last that we'll see hitting the deck here today at Wonthaggi.
Really testing out all the riders, and Kyle Webster was able, even though there was a few people throwing stuff down in front of him, was able to stay clear of any carnage, and that's what you really need to do. Impressive ride by the Serco Yamaha boys, both of them really pushing hard to get up there and make them passes in one of the most difficult parts of the track, but it was all Kyle Webster today. Did an exceptional job.
An amazing feat for him and the factory Honda team, and as you can see there how pumped he is. The amount of work the boys have done. I know John Park from JP Physio, he trains these boys both, Kyle Webster and also Alex Larwood. So guys, now it's time for a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's the big dogs, the MX1. Stick around. Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We are about to get MX1 underway. However, before we do, we're about to throw down to Rihanna. She's going to take us for a little bit of a tour through the CDR Yamaha Monster Energy team setup. What do you got for us, Rihanna?
Motocross racing is back in Australia for 2021, and I'm with a man who needs no introduction, Craig Dack, the team owner of CDR Yamaha Monster Energy Racing Team. Craig, finally bikes are going to be back on track.
Oh, it's fantastic. We came here a day earlier, wanted to do a shakedown of the bikes just across the road actually, and just get the smell of the fuel and be with the team and with all the boys. It's fantastic. I'm really excited.
Of course, we're standing here in your Yamaha racing setup. This place is incredible. I want you to show me around. Just talk to me about the setup that you have.
The area that we're in now is basically the workshop area of the team, where the mechanics like now are just doing the general maintenance on the bike, and this is where it sort of all happens through the day. And then if you follow me this way, we kind of morphs into a hospitality unit through here, where our corporate guests and friends and family come, and the girlfriends and wives, and they sit here and eat and drink their cups of tea, and they get to watch the action right there in front of them when the bikes come in between races and all that, which is very unusual for a lot of sporting teams.
It's pretty cool to see what's out here, but I want to see what's behind these closed doors.
Yeah, this is the fun bit. Come inside.
Craig, this is a pretty impressive setup that you have in here. Is this the workshop area, or your spare parts department on wheels, really?
Yeah, both really. It's a workshop area where they open engines and suspension, because a lot of suspension work gets done in motocross, and spare parts and all that sort of stuff.
How many people are part of your team, Craig, that you take on the road with you?
So Brad and Gary are the two chief technical people. Gary's more the crew chief over everything, but suspension's his specialty. Where Brad looks after the spare parts of the truck and the engines and sort of crew chief. And as you can see here, like the suspension drawer here, we've got enough parts in here to probably build a couple of bikes, and every shock shim that you can imagine to every nut or washer on the bike. And that's, you've got to work on Murphy's Law. What might go wrong will go wrong in a race.
Very organised, very neat and tidy. Is that your hard work?
No, these guys really. You know, we all work together. It's sort of we all feed off one another. But I'm just a guy that has to pay the bills.
Where are the riders?
Well, yeah, the riders and even the staff and us, we have a little retreat area where we can go and hide, a little cave. So come with me and I'll show you.
This is a pretty impressive little setup that the team have got here.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Daka and all the guys, they run an awesome crew. So, for me, obviously I stepped away for a year, but to come back, it feels like home. So, I love it here and the atmosphere. So, I'm just looking forward to the season to start.
Craig, you've done an incredible job making sure that these guys really have a home away from home when they're, when they're away racing.
Yeah, it's our second part of our life, or it's part of your life. So we try and make it comfortable, and we've got microwave, fridge, oven, TV, air conditioning, all the mod cons. So yeah, they're spoiled.
Craig, thank you so much for showing us around the impressive facility that you have here. Of course, you've got Luke Cloud and Hayden Melross racing for your team this year. What are your expectations for 2021?
We're pretty solid this year. The two riders we've got are in their prime. They're 25, 26. Got a lot of experience. On paper, you would say they're the guys. But with the series, it goes from soft track, like this sand track, where you've got Todd Waters and Duffy and a few of those guys who are specialised, to the hard tracks back in New South Wales and Canberra, back up to the soft at the end of the year in Queensland. So there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are legitimately in the hunt for the championship, but I rate my 2 guys for sure.
So it's anyone's game, but really you're looking out for your boys to take this championship.
We're really excited with the 2 guys we've got this year. It's very hard to get both a supercross guy and a motocross guy that can ride across both disciplines, and we've got 2 guys who can do both those disciplines this year. So we're very solid. We've got a couple of year contract with them, so things are looking good.
We wish you all the best for 2021. Thanks so much, Craig Dack.
Thank you very much.
Well, such a very professional setup there, the CDR Yamaha team, and a team that both you and I have both ridden for multiple times, Hammy.
Absolutely, and I think that's it's almost like the Holy Grail, isn't it? Here in Australia, you really would like to try and make your way to the CDR team if you can get noticed by Craig Dack and end up on that team. In a way, you've made it. You've got to perform there, though. Don't get us wrong, Craig Dack. If you're not performing, he's always going to be looking around. So, yeah, Holy Grail, I think.
And let's have a look at the lineup here for the MX1 category. Moto 2, Todd Waters with the #1 plate on for a very good reason. Lockie Latimer, Jaden Reich is the Kawasaki rider there. Luke Cloud, our early leader in Moto #1. Kirk Gibbs on the factory Honda. Connor Tierney on the Suzuki. We've got Levi McManus. We don't have Dylan Long. We've got Jai Walker, Corey Watts, the list goes on. This is a stacked field for MX1.
Absolutely. Mitch Norris, Ryan Fernandez, but Brett Metcalf.
Wow.
Moto #1 winner. Is one of the oldest. Is he the oldest in the field? I would think he'd have to be up there. He's got a lot of experience overseas, a lot of knowledge, and it really showed in Moto #1.
Now, we just saw down there in the bottom of the list the 102 and the 103, the Moss twins. Now, Matt Moss had an incident in the first race. We believe it was shoulder related, but we saw he popped a little video up where he had a green whistle sticking out of his mouth. So certainly we won't be seeing him in the race here. However, we're in the starter's hands and the eyes go down to the starting gate. Watch the drop of that gate. Let's see who's going to rocket out of the gate and score this all-important hole shot. Moto 2 of the MX1.
Ooh,
Riker's got out good, but a little sideways.
Oh, see how slippery it was going into that first turn. It looked like a Honda that might have got out in front. There is Clout there in second place. Gibbsy, it is up in front.
Kirk Gibbs on the factory Honda machine. Brett Metcalf we see back there a few spots. We've got Melross, and I'm trying to pick up.
There's Metcalf.
Luke Clout is another good start and right there in second place.
Jake Moss up the inside. He puts himself into third spot straight off the bat. And that's a great ball back to fourth possibly right now. But the two Yamaha riders are up there in Melross and also Clout. Second and third, but there is a Honda rider right there in fourth place. We can see, I would think,
that's Metcalf.
That is going to be Metcalf. How's this? This is what we spoke of, that front brakes and the fork not decompressing. His suspension hasn't allowed that start button to unclip, but there is the major riders. All of our big guns are up there. I saw Waters is also just in behind them. So we have got ourselves a really good start to this race. While we were away looking at the Yamaha truck, it absolutely bucketed down on these guys for their sighting lap. So here we see the whole shot goes to, the 100% whole shot goes to Kirk Gibbs. A much better start this time around for Gibbsy, and that's why we're seeing him up the front at the moment.
And the first half of this initial lap, he's managed to stretch out that lead a little bit over Luke Clout. So his lines are coming together. Let's hope he can get into a nice little rhythm, because a 25-minute +1 lap moto, it's so critical to get yourself into a nice rhythm straight away. And if you can get yourself a little bit of a buffer, now having said that, straight away Luke Clout's back onto his hammer once again. He's managed to stretch out that little bit of a gap there.
There it is, 72 in sixth place. So
he's come from nowhere.
Absolutely every one of our big hitters is in the top 6 right now. So this is going to develop to be an incredible race as we see the Yamahas really battling it out right now. And both of us agree, have we lost Gibbs somewhere? There is Gibbs back there in 6th.
Yes.
I completely missed that. So somewhere along the line, we have had Gibbs either tip it over or make a big mistake in a turn, and it is now the Yamaha riders, and it's also Melross. So he has moved in front.
Leapfrogged his teammate and made it into the lead somehow. Now, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, all slip sliding everywhere was Hayden Melross, is all of a sudden vision becomes so critical. This track, even in normal conditions, vision, you can get roosted so easily and you're reaching for tear-offs and roll-offs. Now, if you're at the head of the pack at the moment, with all of this rain that's just come down in the last 10 minutes, vision is critical. If you've got clear track ahead of you, it's almost like cheating. Have a look at Regan Duffy. Where has he come from?
Oh, I wanted to jump all over you a second ago. I saw the commentary. Regan Duffy dove it up the inside just before that step on, step off to make the pass on Metcalf. I watched him do it, but he has surprised me because he started probably 8th or 9th at least out of the first turn. So he's made some pass, and another on Clout. I know that he was fine with his result, but he was also disappointed when he came over the finish line in Moto #1. He is riding so fast.
Is he in a league of his own? I'm predicting a 10-second plus victory here in Moto 2 in these early stages.
Oh, not while you're doing that, you won't. No, I still think he will probably push it up through to the front. But mistakes, and that's what we saw in Moto #1 out of Duffy. Remember, he was riding so fast, but made those little mistakes and it ended up pushing him back. But keep your eye on the front two. Where do you look? Front two, Duffy around the outside, almost tips it over in that turn as they go into the whoops. Keep your eye on this through here. Jumps through the whoops. Oh, big mistake again. You can see the urgency right now from Duffy. Really doesn't want to be in behind him. Exactly what you were speaking about, the vision. You can see him reaching up a second ago, pulling those roll-offs.
Now, I've got a funny feeling, and I don't know where it is. I want to watch closely. He's got to have a couple of lines up his sleeve where he is just dropping seconds off these guys. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to see at some stage he's found something. And, well, right there, he nearly got it, and then boom.
Look at the drive right now up the inside. He was up the inside. This is where the pass was made before on the Honda.
Yeah.
And again, throws it in there. Regan Duffy has moved himself into the lead after our qualifying sessions. This is exactly what we expected to see out of this young rider, and he has now moved himself up the front. Jake Moss has put himself into the pits. That is unfortunate. He has an issue out there and is not going to... looks like he may not continue to race, so that is unfortunate for his return to the motocross scene. But Duffy at the moment...
What an incredible statement he is making right here. He needs to just continue this pace, check out just a little bit, have a look over his shoulder, realise the gap he's got, and then go into practice mode almost, where you're just logging laps. Because, man, let's watch this pass again from Regan Duffy. This is what happens when an 18-year-old gets a rush of blood to the head on a 450.
It just didn't break, did he?
No.
You could see the brakes were already applied on Hayden Melross, but the throttle was still wide open.
And have a look at him. He's like a man-child. He's like an Australian version of Joel Smets or something. He's such a monster of a kid for an 18-year-old. And how good to see him up on a 450 at such a young age.
Have a look at this. What are we seeing from Metcalf? Slow is fast. Hey, slow is fast. Smoothing it out. And I think that possibly could be a good thing for this race. That is
finesse.
A little bit slippery. It's definitely a lot choppier than it was before. And we saw it in Moto number 1, how he just took his time.
Did you just see the finesse from Regan Duffy there? Coming into a very rough braking zone into a corner. There was a few small braking bumps, then a big one, then a few small ones, then a big one.
Yep.
He jumped off the first big one and landed down the next big one. Used him as a double. Now, that's the kind of finesse you get when you grow up in the sand. Over in Western Australia, that's common practice. They do that all the time. But it's so hard to pick up when you don't grow up with that kind of stuff.
Well, Clout wanted to make sure that pass was made nice and early in this one. You can see Regan Duffy starting to stretch the legs at the moment and needs to get that gap closed in if he has any chance of winning this moto. He had a good lead in the first one and just tightened up a little bit. I spoke to the mechanics during the little break that we had. They said that he actually wore a hole through his gloves, but a big mistake right there by Clout. Almost loops it out coming around the turn, and that could be the little mistakes that end the race or get you moving forwards. It's a tough condition right now. There is Melross, a good run through here. But I tell you, Todd Waters is a much better looking rider this time around.
He looks a lot different. We haven't really had too much of the camera on him. I'm looking forward to watching him a bit closer. He already, just in what we've seen just now, he looks like he's found a much better rhythm than at any stage that we saw him in Moto 1 during the live streaming earlier on in the day. So as to whether that's going to translate into a good finish and he can leapfrog these two CDR Yamaha Monster Energy boys, or as to whether he's going to be mired back here and stuck in a battle for majority of the race, because let's not forget, he's got race 1 winner Brett Metcalf behind him.
Either way, he needs to make this pass now if he wants to try and run up there with the front two guys. Melross has had a great start to this race, but he has slipped back just a little bit from the back wheel of Luke Clout. There is Clout on screen. He is trying his best at the moment to try and catch up to the leader, and on the lap times, that is simply not going to happen. Our leader, 3 seconds almost, 2.5 seconds faster than second place that last lap around.
Yes.
As we see Waters now dispose of Hayden Melross. Melross very loose down that straight, and Metcalf is going to pick it as well, straight around the outside. So Melross, we had a big crash in the shootout. We have to remember that, the pole shootout earlier on. He had a massive crash. He looked like he was hurt. He really just needs to ride this one out and grab some points.
All right, guys, it's time to go down to Rihanna.
Yo, I just wanted to give you a bit of an update for the atmosphere right down here in amongst all the action, and how good is it to have Australian motocross back on TV. I've never been in the mechanics area. I'm absolutely loving it. Quick update on Jake Moss. He came into the mechanics area having an issue with his goggles, so he is out for the day. I wanted a quick chat about Matt Moss. He had a head knock in the previous race, got an issue with his shoulder. The first thing the mechanic said, he'll be back for Canberra. Don't worry about that. Looking forward to it.
Always good to hear that the rider isn't too badly injured. It certainly looked a little worse than we probably thought with Moss being on the green whistle. A nice little double there into the corner by Melrose, trying to find that momentum. It really is the key, isn't it? That finesse you spoke of a moment ago with Duffy, trying to find that rhythm in a race at this point of the day, and finding that finesse is going to make your life so much easier.
Absolutely. Now, I know we haven't had him on camera for a bit because we've got some great battles going on for second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. However, at the head of the pack, Regan Duffy, the young 18-year-old, has dropped a 152 in the last lap. The next closest, we've got Clout is a 155. We've got a couple of 155s. Todd Waters just snuck down into the 154. But basically what I'm saying is Regan Duffy's in a league of his own. He's stretched out to almost a 9-second lead, and we are only not even close to the halfway point. We've still got 15 minutes to go.
Well, your 10-second win is a little bit conservative there, isn't it?
Well, I was just trying to, I don't like to make predictions, but hey, I didn't hear any predictions from you, so I'm going to stick with my 10 seconds there, Harry.
Well, Todd Waters, we said it's looking much better, but a mistake in that turn just previous has slowed his run towards Clout as we have a look at this replay. One rider going down. On the finish line. Absolutely nowhere to go.
Nailed him.
The flags came out very late that it was the 15 machine. I'm not sure exactly who that was, but Jai Walker, very lucky to not be injured out of that one. That could have been a lot worse than what it was. As we have Metcalf on screen, he is still trying to track down the Yamaha rider in front of him. And that might be the curse that we spoke of earlier. Also, Hogs, these bikes really take a beating here. That Yamaha did not look like it wanted to refire up. Kurt Gibbs now is there in front of Hayden Melross, still looking a lot more comfortable in this moto than he did in moto number one.
Yeah, look, and I think it's a bit of a theme that we're seeing here in Moto 2. As we see Gibbsy take his hand off, I think he was clearing his vision a little bit there. I think most riders have found their feet a little bit. Everyone, even though the track's a lot gnarlier, it's a lot more technical at the moment, everyone seems to be looking a little bit more in tune, particularly Todd Waters. Obviously Regan Duffy, and I think perhaps Brett Metcalf, of course he's not up at the head of the pack, but he's still looking fine, and we know he's going to come on strong in the latter part of the races. He's still well and truly in there in the mix. We're going to have to start to do some maths soon as we get near the end part of the race. We're going to have to try to figure out who's there in the mix as far as the overall goes.
This will certainly be an interesting overall. It's going to be difficult to actually figure out. Regan Duffy, with a third in the first race, now sits in first. It's going to come down to where Brett Metcalf ends up in this one. And we saw Metcalf really shine in the later part of this race. So, was that Cloudy? Was that Waters on the back of Cloudy?
Yep.
Wow, the lap riders are thick here. And it looks like that Waters has made up a lot of ground on Luke Cloud that was held up by the looks of it by some of these lap riders who are only out there doing their own thing. Metcalf also had a great line going right there and closing in, but unfortunate for him, this is the curse of the lap riders. Sometimes you just don't know where they're going to end up, and once you're stuck into one of these big long ruts, Lee, you're stuck in it. You can't jump out that easy.
No, it's like a train track. You're stuck on that, and if you've got a slower rider there, they can even want to get out of the way, but sometimes you just can't get out of those things.
Gibbsy's struggling with that right now, and have a look at Melrose trying to get back on the back wheel of it. Gibbs is just trying to find a way around it, and they're just going everywhere at the moment. Everywhere Gibbs went, the lap riders also went, and again, it's going to happen into this turn.
Well, we're 4 abreast there, and we had a lap rider nearly take out Melrose there. I mean, like, some crazy stuff going on here. Melrose is just trying his best to stick to the back of Gibbsy at the moment. They've got their own little battle going on for 5th and 6th place. And we look up to the on the leaderboard at the moment with lap times. It's settled down a little bit. Regan Duffy dropping a 155.0. to Luke Clout, well, no, a 156.89. So basically, that's 2 seconds once again.
Yeah, it's
over 12 seconds. My prediction was totally wrong if it stays like that, Danny.
Hey, look at this. Look at the smoke coming out of the Yamaha right now.
11 minutes to go as well.
And Waters, this could be the reason why we saw the number 1 machine close in. And that's not just a little bit of smoke.
No, that's a lot of smoke.
Oh! That bike is going to die.
Yeah.
Wow, that was fluid that came out the bottom then.
Yeah, so you need to consider when you see smoke coming out of a bike, it's one of
it's
almost about to lock up. There's some major issues going on here. It's just a matter of time.
Wow, that is unfortunate for Luke Clout, but as a rider, and in these heavy conditions, you really need to manage your bike. I don't think that Clout is even going to see the lap out. I don't think it will make it, and that is unfortunate for the Yamaha rider who has had such a good start to this day, leading early on in Moto number 1, back there in second in Moto number 2. It was really looking forward to a good result for Clout to move forwards in this, but have a look at this. The 2 older guys, the veterans of the class, there is Metcalf now starting to find his feet. And that is unfortunate. Dylan Wood has gone down in the corner just there. Our riders going back towards the finish line. We are 9 minutes and 40 seconds still yet to go in this race. There is Melross coming across right there in the middle of the screen. The 45 machine heading up towards that tabletop, and our lap times, just look how much they've come down. We started this race at a 152, 151. The boys are now pushing closer to 2 minutes. It's just showing how much this track is ripped apart and how much slower these riders have to go to make sure that they stay upright. Lee, I was saying a second ago that even though the bikes, you know, they are strong, they will last the race out generally. Sometimes you have to be conservative in these conditions because you can really work the clutch very hard if you're heavy on the clutch. You can heat the engine up harder than it needs to, and then, you know, these little issues start to develop. So we don't know the cause of what has happened to the Clout. We can only speculate, but there is certainly sometimes that you just need to look after your bike.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And you know, there's certain riders out there that are harder on bikes, and others that are kind on bikes, and you very rarely see something go wrong. I mean, I remember from that's about as close as you come to going over the handlebars for Brett Metcalf. Now, we all make mistakes from time to time, but it's how quickly you can get back into a groove and minimise those mistakes and not let it snowball. We're about to see that again. Let's have a look at that front wheel. As he comes in here, it's going to get a little bit cross-rutted and almost tuck. It goes over the rut, and he is so lucky that didn't wash out and tuck him over the bars.
And he did an absolute clean sweep of every single tyre that he could have possibly hit just then.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect.
All right, now, Hammy, let me paint the picture for you here, okay? Regan Duffy, 3rd place in Moto number 1. Currently 1st place and some 17 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Brett Metcalf, 1st place in Moto 1, currently in 3rd place. Now, he still has a possibility of getting up into 2nd place ahead of Todd Waters, which is what he must do if he wants to get the overall. Who would have thought, like we said, I remember at the end of Moto 1 saying to you, Danny Ham, 3rd place, hey, that can quite easily turn into an overall victory at the end of the day. And that is what Regan Duffy's staring down the barrel of at the moment.
Connor Tierney on the track right now on the 7 Suzuki machine. Great to see that Suzuki does have some sort of presence out there. There's not too many bikes on the track anymore. It's unfortunate. I was a Suzuki rider my whole life, and it would be great to see more of them out there, but unfortunately Suzuki has pulled back a lot on their sponsorship and their involvement in motorsport in general, I guess. But it's still good to see him out there, and exactly right with what you're saying, Lee. It will definitely come back to who can do what in this last 8 or so minutes of this race. Metcalf was looking good to try and put a charge on to see if he could get past Todd Waters, but that is what he's going to have to do if he wants that overall.
Well, if he wants the overall, 2nd place is what it's going to take. Let's go down to Rihanna for a little bit of an update.
Yeah, really angry Luke Clout from the CDR Yamaha Monster Energy team just came into the mechanical area. I asked him if they knew what was wrong with the bike. They're questioning a suspension issue for him, so really disappointing way to finish the day for that team.
Yeah, strange suspension, but you know what? It was a really weird puff of smoke, wasn't it, when he bounced on that the face of that jump?
Well, no, it was continuous smoke for quite a while, and it happened over a half a lap period. Now, I don't know how suspension could potentially do that, other than a shock blowing, perhaps.
Leaking oil onto the muffler of the pipe. Oh. Well, we can hear outside, just over the finish line, the bikes death-trapping every time they come over there. Crowd went crazy, and thankfully this is the part of the track that it would have been from, and there's no one down, so that is good to see.
Good news.
Kirk Gibbs, though, a little loose there, wasn't he, coming around there?
He sure was. Now, I've been watching the last 2 laps. It's no big deal, but Todd Waters has just been cutting Regan Duffy down 1 lap at a time. He's been cutting him down 1 second, a little bit faster every lap. Not much. Duffy still has himself a 15-second lead over Todd Waters. However, what that does mean is the gap's starting to stretch itself a little bit more over Brett Metcalf.
There's Jay Lamb on the 511, and more rain is about to fall. So Jay Lamb in 9th place. That's a good ride. He's right behind Jobin Baldwin right there, the 48 machine on screen. So great ride by both of these guys. 8th and 9th place, that is no mean feat. And they are both sitting in front of Jaden Rikers, the Kawasaki rider. So excellent effort by both of these guys to get around here. And I know how difficult these conditions are. And just to make it to the end of this race is something else.
Yeah, you'd just be, as the front wheel tuxin goes down, the poor guy, number 36. We're trying to pick up who that rider is. Max Kloster. I mean, you're in the real latter stages of Moto 2. It doesn't get any tougher. And it's just like, bring it on. Okay, rain. What else are you going to throw at me? Is like a lightning bolt going to come down and strike my front fender or something?
Zane Dunlop on the Yamaha just in front of the 64 machine right there, having a good ride as well. It's great to see all of these guys. We need these guys out on track. You know, this brings up the whole level of the sport. Another rider having some problems. I don't think this is the first time we've seen this today. Was the 21 of Ryan Fernandez. He down again in this one. I can promise you that they really are looking forward to the next rounds. But have a look how hard it is. This would be very similar to what you would be looking through on a set of goggles that are covered in water. The vision itself completely disappears on you, no matter how many times you clear your vision with a roll-off system like we see here on Todd Waters. It only takes a small amount of time before your goggles end up with water on them again, and again you can't see. So the beauty of roll-offs...
How's the case there on that sandwood from Todd Waters? And he's got to be struggling with vision. Interesting to note, though, Danny Ham, that last lap, Regan Duffy's dropped to 158 to Todd Waters 159. So he stabilised that gap once again. It's gone back out to 16 seconds. And we have only got 2 minutes 40 on the clock to go. I can't say enough about this 18-year-old from Western Australia, Regan Duffy. I mean, we knew what to expect. Todd Waters knew what to expect. His main competition he knew was going to be Regan Duffy. I don't know if I expected quite this much. I think I kind of did. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah, he certainly is. Whilst I was blabbling on a second ago, Lee, I didn't even pick up the fact that Metcalf is now back in 5th. Metcalf has gone back to 5th, Gibbs in 3rd, Melross in 4th. Now, that would almost suggest a mistake somewhere to have both of them pass him like that.
That's a little tip over somewhere you've got to think, because they weren't deep in a battle there. Something must have happened.
Well, it's certainly survival time at the moment in this race for these riders. Todd Waters, a much better showing this time. The current, if you can call it current, our last champion from the 2019 season, Todd Waters, wears the #1 plate. And for good reasons. He is always up the front, pushing it, picking up some vital points here today in the sand.
Looking nice and smooth up and over the step up there, throwing her a little bit sideways. Track just deteriorating every minute that goes by here today at Wonthaggi. And have a look at that. The rain's coming in sideways, but these athletes continue to travel around the track like it's not too much trouble whatsoever. would really like to get some kind of an idea as to what happened there to Brett Metcalf to drop him back to 5th place. There's a 1:57 for him there. His times were still good. It was obviously the lap prior that caused those issues, but still, Regan Duffy at the head of the pack with a nice 17-second lead. He's got over Todd Waters back in 2nd.
Looks so comfortable on the bike. I just noticed then too, he was right on his toes on the foot pegs.
Yeah, he's. I guess that's a sand thing. You just cannot afford in the sand to have your toes exposed and any lower than the front. Look at how low he's carrying his heels coming in. Almost acts like a little bit of a snow ski coming across the top there, because there is nothing worse, and I can tell you from prior experience myself, there's nothing worse than having your toe dragged underneath the front of your foot peg. You learn that from an early age and you never do it again.
How's the chain that he's got flapping around underneath his helmet? We've got 15 seconds to go. Oh, will he have to do another lap, or is he going to get around the time? 10 seconds. He is going to go over the finish line and need to do 2 more laps. 3 seconds short of the last lap board.
It's almost turning into a 30-minute moto here. You know what? I don't think he minds. I actually think he'll be quite impressed with that, and think at any stage he's going to be thinking along the lines of, hey, I'm going to start dropping back towards the pack here. He's on a mission. He knows what needs to be done. He's still got 15 seconds over Todd Waters. That last lap there, though, at 2:02 for Regan Duffy and a 2-minute flat for Todd Waters. But how about Kirk Gibbs, fastest on track with a 1:57?
Hey, that's quick.
But
this point of the race.
Also with a 1:57, his Honda teammate Brett Metcalf. So both of those boys are going, hey, I need to finish a little bit stronger than what we're doing here.
Well, Duffy has done everything right from the very start of this race. Made those passes nice and early. He didn't want to get caught up in any kind of incidents with any of the other riders. Didn't want to fall into their pace. Really wanted to set his own. And he has done that in this race.
And it really was apparent at the start of the race, wasn't it? Where he was prepared to make a couple of mistakes and let it all hang out. He had those long legs. There was a little bit of flapping going on. He put the bike wherever he wanted to, wherever he needed to make those initial passes. We didn't quite catch how far he had to come back, but I believe it was around 7th or 8th place. And by the end of the first lap, he was in 4th. And then not long after that, he was challenging for the lead.
I know a lot of these riders are certainly looking for that last lap board. It's already will be thrown out this time around for our leader, as he comes into some more lapped riders. He's lapped himself up to 10th place as well. There's Rikers just in front of him, the Kawasaki rider, and a bunch of other riders. Wow, look at that. He's have to navigate his way through this really thick traffic at the moment. Last lap board is out for our race leader, Regan Duffy on the KTM. Truly showing how good he is in the sand right now. There is the 911 rider also out there. Jonathan Hale having a good ride. As we said, we need to have all of these riders out there, and it looks like Duffy already starting to celebrate. A little one-hand fist pump right there, going past the mechanic area, I should say, and around towards the harder part of the track, the harder surface, where it's very, very chopped up. But he's got himself a nice little line on the outside. You can see right there, it just looks so slippery as he puts a lap down, or tries to put a lap down on Rikers. And unfortunate for Rikers, just dropped the front wheel over the top of that rut.
Well, edging ever so close now to wrapping it up. And what a day it has been for the KTM factory rider. He has not put a foot wrong all day. A 3rd place in Moto 1, and he's about to wrap it up here with a win here in Moto 2. and he has stamped his approval. He just loves this stuff. The deeper it gets, the gnarlier it gets, the more he seems to thrive. And a fist pump for the crowd there at the top end of the circuit for the fans up there. Like you mentioned earlier, he's got the chain dangling down like an 18-year-old should, out just flapping in the breeze for the crowd to see it. No legger. How about the show that he's putting on for the crowd here as he comes through? What a way. This is, look, he's won Manjum up 15,000 a couple of years ago as a 16-year-old, but I don't think I've seen this excitement from him before. He is about to lay claim to victory here in round 1 of the championship. What an amazing job, Regan Duffy. Bow your heads, ladies and gentlemen. Round 1 of the Motocross Championships here has taken a solid victory. Regan Duffy, an absolute pinned rev limiter there. You cannot be any happier than that. Regan Duffy for Factory KTM winning round 1 of the ProMX Championship here in tough conditions, Danny Ham.
Yeah, very tough indeed. There was Todd Waters coming over the line just, and I mean just, in front of Kirk Gibbs. Gibbs with that late race charge really tried to put it on there and get that pass made. We expect to see Melross come across in 4th place. That is Metcalf on screen. We think he is in 5th place, and certainly is by the lap times that have come across. So a good ride from him. I know he'll be a bit disappointed. We didn't see where it was. We assume it was a tip over somewhere that dropped him out of that real big contention place, the 3rd place, and a chance to get the overall.
Wow.
So what you can see here is just outside of our commentary booth, and we can hear that bike on the limiter. He is stoked. We didn't see the excitement out of him earlier, but I can promise you're going to see it now.
That's what I was about to say. I know Rihanna didn't see too much smiling going on earlier on when he stomped it in qualifying and the pole shootout. But however, I think we might see a little bit of excitement from him here as we're still seeing some of the back markers start to make their way through. A couple of very important key points, Hammy. The victory for Regan Duffy, the DNF for Luke Clout, and of course, very similar for Matt Moss. Some big stories here at round 1 of the Penrite ProMX Championships.
It makes your championship hard when you have those kind of things happen to you. Out of Luke Clout's control. Unfortunate for him for DNF, but it really hurts that championship hope.
Hammy, I know it's so cliche to say it, and we've heard it a million times, but you cannot win the championship in the first round, but you certainly can lose it. And I tell you what, Luke Clout has made it exceptionally hard for himself here. Let's take a look at the results. MX1, Moto 2, Regan Duffy with one of the best and most important wins I have seen in a very long time. Todd Waters, 2nd place, Gibbsy holding on for a sensational 3rd, and Melross in 4th. Back to Brett Metcalf with a late race mistake, dropping him back to 5th place.
Tierney also up there. Purvis, Baldwin with a really good result, as to Lamb and Rikers, who we did see tip it over just there on that last lap, trying to negotiate the last part of that race.
Unfortunately for him, it was on TV coverage time when he was getting put a lap down. Jai Walker there in 11th place, Joel Whiteman in 12th. We see Jai Dixon in 13th. So all of these guys, just to be out there in these conditions, doing such an amazing job here today at Wonthaggi. Let's head down now to Rihanna. She's down with our winner, and no doubt a very excited Regan Duffy.
Yeah, what an unbelievable day of racing. What an unbelievable way to start our 2021 season. I've got your podium winners for the Thor MX1 Championship. In 3rd place on the Honda Factory Racing team, Kirk Gibbs. What a charge at the end there, Kirk. Congratulations.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed. I stalled it here, got a ripper hole shot, and yeah, really disappointed actually. You know, Regan was riding awesome, and all the boys were. Yeah, probably had nothing for Regan today, but yeah, a little bit disappointed with that, but really happy to be really consistent and have good finishes and yeah, move on to the next round.
Great way to get on the podium for the first event of the year. We head over to our 2nd place winner on the Factory Husqvarna bike, Todd Waters, the 2019 champion. You got the whole family here in tow, the brand new baby. Congratulations to be on the podium.
Yeah, we got my fiancée Jill and little Macy. She's only 2 weeks old. We had to make a trip down, so it was. It's exciting. It's great to have the whole family here. It's new for me. So yeah, it's nice to put it on the box this weekend. I felt quite awkward out there on the bike. It was myself. Bike feels unreal, but I felt a little rusty. So first moto, got really excited, and the boys just got me. So I dropped it, picked it up, and I just went, okay. That moto there, just rode around. You know, hats off to Regan, he smoked us. So I love to see that young fire. It's been Gibbsy and I for many years now, just sort of poking around, and to see Regan come in and just light it up, it's exciting. So gives me something to go home. I've got some homework to do, and look forward to the rest of the championship.
Congratulations, Todd Waters in second place and taking out the victory for the second moto of the day. He's been absolutely on fire on the factory KTM. Congratulations, Regan Duffy, mate. Awesome job. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. It was a bloody good ride, that one. It took forever. Felt like an hour-long moto, and I feel like if I was out here practicing, I probably would have gone out there and lapped myself how slow I felt like I was going, but I kept gapping them, so I just kept doing the same thing, and it ended up working out.
I get the vibe. You're a pretty cool customer. You don't want to show too many emotions, but you've come in here. You're only 18 years old. You're debuting in the MX1. You've taken out the AMX Pole Shot Award, and now you've taken out a victory, taken out the round win. I mean, that's a huge achievement.
Yeah, that's a pretty good weekend, really. I'm a bit lost for words with it, but yeah, the whole moto, I was just watching the boys, just as I like to do. I watched the racing behind me if I got a big enough lead, and I was just praying that Todd would hold off Medi, because if Medi got second, then he would have got the overall. And then when I seen Medi had disappeared, I remember just yelling in the air, so excited. And then from then on, it was like time went slower.
Congratulations to our 3 podium winners for Thor MX1 Moto 2, Kurt Gibbs, Todd Waters and Regan Duffy.
Well, what a fantastic race there from Regan Duffy, and certainly stamping his approval and his authority here today at Wonthaggi. Let's take a quick look at the highlights from Moto 2. And as the gate dropped, a spectacular jump out of the gate for Luke Clout, but he managed to have a few dramas, some bike issues as the race went on later on, and he would end up having to come in and retire from the race. As we see some other riders having some mishaps off the side of the track. Here, a big hit on the side of the bike there, and of course our Yamaha rider waving his arm there. All kinds of dramas going on as Jaden Rikers comes around the outside. It really was a battle of attrition out there trying to stay on 2 wheels, and there it was right there. We saw a huge puff of smoke and it looked like a blown shock. So almost going down there for Brett Metcalf, and it slightly unravelled from there as he dropped back to 5th place. But there we see it, a big fist pump from Regan Duffy and a huge rev tune as he takes the win here in Moto number 2 of the Thor MX1 category. What an amazing time, an amazing moment in sport in general here for motocross. We are so pumped for him and of course for the KTM team. All right guys, it's time for a quick break here. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores, and we've got champagne celebrations going on here, and it's all about the young man, Regan Duffy. Fantastic job to the 18-year-old Western Australian. We're going to go down now to Danny Ham.
Well, after an exceptional first moto in today's MX1, Brett Metcalf, you were up there in that one again, but a tough finish. You had a couple of tip overs there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, once again, I got another top 5 start, and I was up there and in a position where I wanted to be. But I didn't have the intensity early. The track was gnarly and rough, and I just like, I better just take it easy, pick my lines, get my rhythm first. And then a couple guys went by me, and I just settled, got my rhythm, and then came back up onto Todd, and I knew where I needed to be for the overall, and I had to get by Todd, and I was on him, taking a bit of roost, tried a bit of an inside, lost the front end, went down, got back up, ran into a lap and went down again. So it's one of those endings where you just didn't want, but I mean, I'm happy to be up here at second for the first round. It's really good. So thanks to Honda Racing Australia, Fly M2R, SK, FMF, Cruise Tune, everybody that's behind the scenes, we are really stoked with it today.
You've been around a long time, mate. I saw you make them mistakes early. How tough was that track?
Oh, it's brutal. I mean, the rain, I mean, a phenomenal job by the club, you know, to get the track the way it was after that rain we've had. But, yeah, it was tough, man. Like, so many ruts and bumps, and I love it like that. So, you know, 36 years old, I'm still digging it, man.
Well, great job there by Brett Metcalf and, of course, the factory Honda team. So close to an overall, but not close enough. Second place it is on the day with 41 points. But the man of the moment, Regan Duffy, with a solid 45 points. Todd Waters rounding out your top 3 with 40 points. Back to Kirk Gibbs, Hayden Melross rounding out a top 5 on the day. Not too bad at all. Max Purvis in 6th place. Connor Tierney, Jaden Rikers, Jai Walker and Luke Clout, even with a DNF there, still holding on to a top 10 spot. Let's go down to Rihanna.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lee. I'm joined by Kyle Blunden from the Motorsport Manager of KTM. Kyle, I mean, how great is it just to have bikes on track? We've ticked off round 1 of the ProMX Championship. Awesome way to start the year.
Yeah, it's a brilliant way to start the year. I mean, just to be out here, you know, racing motocross again is you know, it's brilliant. After such a long time off, it's great to have everyone back out here.
The racing today certainly has been fantastic. They've really faced some really difficult conditions. We've had all sorts of weather. Been brilliant to see spectators here as well.
Yeah, no, it has been. It's been great. I mean, you know, with this kind of weather, you just never know what you're going to get, and we've had everything. So it's been brilliant to see so many people here.
Really exciting racing in all 3 of our categories, but for MX1, I have a sense that this is going to be open and up for grabs throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the top 5 finishes there in the first and the second moto, and I think there's a mix of the guys that have been around a long time, and also now with Regan coming into the class, I think it's going to be a really exciting year.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for round 2 in Canberra. Thanks very much, Kyle. Back to you, Lee.
Thanks, Rihanna. Now, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in for round 2 of the Penrite Oils ProMX Championship as it heads to Canberra May the 2nd next. And, of course, while you're at it, make sure you set yourself a reminder for round 2 of the ASBK at Wakefield Park. Now, that's on April the 16th to the 18th. And that's going to be, have a look at that place, spectacular. Been following the series, and we see Troy Herfoss there on screen at the moment. And, of course, the upcoming rounds 3 and 4 of the Australian Off-Road Championships. Now, they're being held at Golden Beach, Victoria on April the 17th and the 18th. These guys certainly know how to hold that throttle absolutely wedged. We've got some of Australia's best off-road riders tackling the Australian Off-Road Championships. We'd also like to pay tribute to the late Ray Fisher, one of Australia's first international motocross pioneers. He earned himself numerous European victories while amassing an impressive 7 Australian national championships, an absolute icon of our sport. Now we're going to go back down to Rihanna.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lee. Well, Danny Ham, we've ticked off round 1 of the ProMX Championship. How exciting just to finally have one under the belt. I mean, what was your standout for yourself?
Well, you couldn't go past Regan Duffy, could you? I mean, that was an exceptional ride we saw out of him. his speed, his raw speed was just incredible. But Kyle Webster as well, clean sweep all day long. I'm really looking forward to going into these next rounds and seeing who can step up next time.
And fantastic to see the brand new class, the MX3 class, out on track. I mean, that is a huge class. We oversold it. We had people on a wait list to get out there.
Yeah, massive class. And it's only going to help every single rider out there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of these riders evolve through the rest of this series.
Yeah, we can't wait to bring you all the action from round 2 in Canberra. That is the 2nd of May of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by the AMX Superstores. Danny, thanks very much for all your hard work. Lee Hogan, thanks very much for your hard work in commentary. Boys, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time bringing you all the action for round 2.
Truly respected global lubricants brand, yet is still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
AMX. We live Motocross 365. Check us out online or call into one of our stores. AMX, proud sponsors of 2021 ProMX.
Well, just one race to go here at Wonthaggi for round one of the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships. Danny Ham, it's the 125s. They've got one race in the book, and the gates are about to drop. Have a look at that mud down there on the track.
Well, they didn't get any rain on them last time. They do have a bit more of a muddy track right now. Let's see who can get this launch out with the 125. The back wheel spinning on the 26 machine as they get underway. Who will jump
Cameron
out?
Taylor, I'm going to dare say, just knowing Camo and his starting position and everything. Good start. Jack Simpson.
Jack.
Oh, he nearly tagged Cameron's back wheel there. He's trying to tuck it up the inside. What a line from Jack Simpson.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to waste any time.
Oh. I'll tell you what, Camo's going to take him wide.
He wants to make him work for it, but that outside line's been working pretty damn good, and I think once again it's going to come up trumps here. Not only, but managed to pull a little bit of a gap in the process. I think Camo could perhaps maybe learn from that little mistake there and maybe pick up on that line for the next lap.
Yes, could definitely do that. He also has Dylan Long straight behind him, actually up the inside. Here's Long making the pass. So, will we see Dylan Long push it up there and give Jack Simpson a bit of a run for his money in this one?
Oh, a little mistake in the corner there for Jack Simpson, and no such mistake for Dylan Long. So it'd be good to see him battle. However, I don't think if lap times are anything to go off, I don't think Longy quite had the lap times of Jack Simpson in the first one. But we've got a totally different track here. This is going to beat you down, this track. We'll have to wait and see. Fitness is going to play a factor.
Luke Thatcher was a rider there just off the ground. Unfortunate for him, but these track conditions at the moment very slippery. Well, have a look at this, Lee, already. Oh, there is Longy up the inside. So, that race that we thought maybe Jack Simpson was just going to run away with is now changed quite considerably. The track has changed a lot.
We've got a battle on our hands, and now, you know, it has been quite a few years since Jack Simpson has raced at this particular level on this type of track. Now, Dylan Long, and look at the defensive lines for Jack Simpson. He's just lost another 2 full seconds in one corner. It's all starting to unravel for the Cascas rider.
Weird at the moment, isn't it?
He must be asking himself, what's going on? He almost needs to slap himself in the back of the helmet.
Oh, there is Dylan Long on the 13 Yamaha. We know he loves getting onto these 125s. We've seen many videos of him where he probably should be changing gears a lot more than he does. But yes, he likes to rev the bike.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. Well, yeah, okay. Let's run with good.
Yes. It gets lots of likes and views.
Yes, McLean on number 60 sits back there in third place. We did catch a glimpse of him a minute ago. As they go past the mechanics area. I don't think... I mean, they're here to race, and there's always going to be a lot of competition, competitiveness between them up the inside. We thought there that Simpson disappeared.
Yes, but no, he's just sneaking there on the inside.
At the same time, I'm pretty sure these guys are at the level where they're here just, ultimately, just to have some fun.
Now, I just noticed there, Jack Simpson found a line around the outside, managed to jump that double, which I don't think Dylan Long's doing. He managed to reel him in quite a bit right there. So it's keeping tabs on the back of him. We've got to remember with the dad bod that...
I was just about to bring that up. It doesn't have the ponies to get over that double.
No, not only does it not have the ponies, but it also may suffer a tad more later in the race. So Jack Simpson could perhaps have that mindset of a Cooper Webb of, hey, if I can stick with this guy near towards the end of the race, I can make something good happen.
Quite possible that is the mindset at the moment as they go up towards the tailtop. Simpson jumping over it. Again, Long not jumping it. And like you said in the first race, Long is one of the best jumpers out there. So for him not to be able to do it, it's just that he's not scared. It's physically can't happen. Not with that bike the way it is at the moment.
Some
and
more mistakes from Jack Simpson. He's really struggling with these lines, and obviously we've got deep ruts, and as you know as well as I do, Hammy, no two ruts are ever the same. Some might start, you know, nice and open and then tighten up with a hook at the end, like that one. Whereas other ones might have a hook at the start and then open right up. And I think what Jack Simpson's struggling with at the moment is not reading the ruts quite as well as what Long is reading. You can see that hook at the end of it right there.
Yeah.
And we see
triple leg dab.
Triple leg dab from Jack Simpson. He's just struggling. And that just comes with not being comfortable and sometimes not looking ahead. But for a rider of the caliber of Jack Simpson, I'm sure he's looking ahead. And just when things like this are coming up so fast at you, sometimes it's hard to take in that much information in such a short period of time.
I did see in the background that McLean was right there on Cameron Taylor as well. Weiss is, according to our times, not too far back behind them as well. So they may get into a little bit of a three-way battle for third place in this race. Come towards the end of it. 10 minutes still left to go in this. Obviously a shorter race.
Oh, Longy got over that double that time.
Yep.
Nice.
Dehydrated.
Yeah. Hopped in the sauna in between races.
Well, Simpson not going right over. Simpson looked like a lot more comfortable last time around. And it doesn't take much, like you were saying, with these ruts, when you don't feel comfortable in it, you do make them mistakes. They come so easy, them mistakes, and if you're not comfortable, it can bite you so quickly.
And you got to remember, these guys were on a lot earlier in the day when the track didn't look anything like this at all. I'm seeing a lot of foot dabs there from Simo. Unfortunately, he's just he's not in a good headspace at the moment. And I know we've all been there. We've been in that headspace where you're just like, come on, find your groove. That was another big moment.
Yep. There is Taylor there, just putting a lap down on the 684 machine. Sweeney, I thought we saw Sweeney up there a little bit better last race. Maybe he's had some issues in this one. The bike very well presented under Cameron Taylor. Yamaha's are very strong bikes.
He always well presented, Cameron Taylor. He's got a lot of championships under his belt, and a lot of them came in the lights category, whether it was on that 125 bike or the 250cc four-stroke. In fact, all of his championships came in that lights category. So he knows how to ride that smaller bike exceptionally well. And in recent years, since becoming a vet, not only has he won multiple vet championships, he loves occasionally getting out on the 125. And he's always been super competitive, even against these young riders.
I spoke to him when I came down to Albury a couple of weeks ago, and he was speaking about the 125 and how much he does enjoy it, and how much of a handful the bigger bike. Oh, there's a problem right there. Is that a chain that just came off?
Something, mate.
Oh, and another rider down on the finish line. Is
that Elijah Weesey? That's his riding gear that he was running. That's a very bad spot too. We saw the centre punch that happened there before.
There is Taylor in the background,
Cameron
stepping
Taylor.
off. Yeah, I saw something flick around the back wheel, so I'm thinking maybe he might have snapped a chain.
Okay, we'll watch this space with Cameron Taylor there. We've got a little
Finish
bit
line.
of a replay going on here. Oh, that is... I still can't make out if it's Elijah Weesey, but it was certainly a cross rut going up that takeoff ramp.
Possibly Zach Williams. There's a 2, I thought, in it. But yeah, it just shows how hard it is. It doesn't take much just to unbalance yourself in one of these ruts. I mean, they're doing it on a straight rut, on a face of a jump, let alone going through these big, long, sweeping turns. I mean, these ruts, some of these ruts are 20, 30, 40 metres long.
Well, you know as well as I would, Hammy, that quite often corner ruts are a heck of a lot easier than straight line ruts. You know, there's nothing more difficult than trying to stay in a straight line rut, especially when you throw them in the mix through a set of whoops. You know, quite often you just got to look at the end and try to make it all the way through there, because you come into it and it's so easy to get off balance, isn't it? That's clearly what happened to that rider that sent him off the side of the jump.
Once you're off balance, there's no way of getting back out of it as well. In the corner rut, sometimes you can sort of put yourself over the top of it or come out underneath it, but on a jump, it's near impossible. You have to ride it out.
Jack Simpson's still on screen here, and we can see Dylan Long's got himself a nice handy 7-second gap there. And Longy, second place in Moto 1. If his positions stay how they are at the moment.
Was he second or third? He caught right up. Wasn't Taylor second?
Ooh.
Or no, he might have got him on the line.
Thought he made a pass just on that last lap. So we'll have to double check on that. Fairly positive. We're in a position at the moment. If Dylan Long can hold on to this position here, which he certainly looks to be doing. The lap times at the moment for both Dylan Long and Jack Simpson, both in the 2:04s. So they're stabilised, they're staying the same. A 2:14 for Josh McLean back there in third place. And I apologise, it continues to be Elijah Weesey in fourth, so that certainly wasn't him that had that crash. Someone in that same riding gear. Dylan Long up and over that tricky double, must be super technical for these little 125 bikes. He's looking really quite good at the moment.
Yeah, we may see a return to racing.
Return to form.
Got a bit of work ahead of him, but yes, he may return. I think he's having a great time doing his social media stuff. He's got a huge following.
Absolutely.
They make another lap around. 5 minutes left in this race. At 13 on the front. The way
it looks kind of sideways, like that front plate's on a bit of an angle.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think the bolts come out and the bottom of that front plate's come across, and she's looking a little bit skew. If there we see Mike Sleater just come through there with the 111 machine. He's back in 7th place at the moment.
He's got Ryan Butler straight in behind him. So this is for position on the track at the moment between these guys. Zach Williams possibly also in there as well as Sleater runs the outside line. Look at the tear off, or the roll offs.
Vision.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, and that's the roughest line on the track, and takes him wide. Sleets is like, damn, is this how we ride in Australia? Is this what's going on? Well, welcome to Australia, Sleets.
It's not over yet.
Both legs just flapping there. Not only is his roll-off film flapping out the back, but both legs were flapping and the bike was flapping sideways. It's all happening here.
I think he knew he had to get around Mike Sleater there so he could actually just get the last of this race out and actually see his way to the finish line.
I think Sleets for a moment there was almost like, what is going on here? I need to give this guy a little bit of space before he takes himself and me down at the same time.
It was almost the straightest, slowest takeout ever.
Well, lap times now at 2:04 for Dylan Long. Not too bad at all. And Jack Simpson has dropped down to a 2:06. So we're almost stretched out to a 10-second lead now between first and second place. That's the biggest that it's been throughout the race so far. So in these latter stages of the race, just 3 minutes to go, or 3.5 minutes, should I say. Dylan Long is not looking like slowing down much at all and still setting by far the fastest lap times of the race here in the 125s.
James Bruce on screen. He is also getting around in KTM, having a, I would assume he's having a fun ride. I would hope. That's what we're out there for. 133 also getting a bit of airtime. 133, yeah.
It's so important with these
Jake West,
jumps.
sorry.
As you can see, all the ruts up the takeoff ramp to these jumps, it is critical. And Hammy, it's a point that you mentioned earlier on with Regan Duffy, with how he rides back on the balls of his feet and how we don't want to. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that perhaps is our same rider that went down Williams. On the tabletop. Williams there is just having a real struggle here in the second moto. But I was just making a point there, going up takeoff ramps when the ruts are super deep. You got like 10 ruts to choose from. You were talking about Regan Duffy and getting back to the balls of your feet and how important that was. Not only does it give you a little bit more height from your bump to your seat so you don't cop a kick over the bars, the last thing you want is to have your foot dragged under the peg up the takeoff ramp to a jump. It generally throws you off the side of the bike and your bike goes flying all by itself.
Never a fun time to ride a bike when you are getting thrown either off the side or out the front. As we see Long with that very offline number plate on the front, the 13 Yamaha, still looking quite comfortable actually out in front and still pushing it as well.
Yeah, he's 2:03 is his last lap time and his fastest was a 2:01. We need to look back to Jack Simpson with a 2:07. So clearly in a league of his own here, and he needs to be really quite impressed with his day so far, I feel, and particularly if he ends up with positions staying like this and he wraps up the overall. That'll be definitely something he can be super proud of.
He's getting that from the inside now too, that double, so just found a good line. kept that momentum up, which is really important on the 125. Momentum is everything. He was able to get up over that jump the last 5-6 times. It's been good to see him do that and work it out too, just mid-race. It's what his previous racing experience has brought to the table, being able to fix up these lines and work out which is the best one that's going to work around this track.
Well, I've seen in years past Dylan Long. I remember him riding for factory Kawasaki, the Monster Energy Kawasaki team on a big 450, one of the best rides I've ever seen him do. I think he landed himself up on the podium, perhaps, on the 450, the MX1 class, on a very, very tough and tricky Coolum circuit that had a lot of rain. It was rutty. It was very similar to what we're seeing here. So clearly we've got a theme going on with front number plates here, Danny Ham.
That's Weiss. He's in third place, and yes, that front number plate is just flapping all over the place. It's got to put a bit of pressure on that front brake line, you would think, also, if it's not sitting at its exact right level. But yeah, I don't know. Someone needs to be fired back in the pits.
Well, the last thing you want to be doing is to be catching that front brake line as those forks compress and that front brake line comes up. If it latches over the top of your number plate, it can get caught and stretch it too far. Lock on your front brake, you're straight over the bars before you know what happened. And on a track like this, you could be forgiven for thinking you actually did something wrong and tucked the front end and went over the bars, when really it was no fault of your own. It was a mechanical.
Entirely the mechanic's fault.
Always.
Here's the thing, though. Most of these guys are the mechanic.
Always blame the mechanic if possible.
Well, we are at the tail end of this race. 9 seconds, 8 seconds on the clock. So the next time around that Dylan Long hits that finish line, he will receive the 1 lap to go board. He time slowed down just a little bit. That one down to a 2:05, but still, that's only 3 or 4 seconds out of off his fastest time for this race. He's still pushing it.
And still 2 seconds faster than Jack Simpson. And then we need to go back to 3rd, 4th, 5th. We're looking at lap times that are around the 2:14, 2:17, 2:16, 2:14. So you've got to remember, these guys, they're up around 10 seconds a lap faster than 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place, which is quite incredible.
Well, another lap going down, 8 of 9 done on the back wheel standing all the way through those whoops. When you get it right, it's a great feeling. When it gets wrong, though, it can definitely give you a little huckabuck through those sections. So last thing you need is to be too confident and cocky as you go around.
Is that Sleets in the background? I'm just trying to pick up. It looked like it may have been Sleets that perhaps, yeah, Mike Sleet has just been put a lap down and he's in 7th place. So he must have had some kind of drama, come amiss somewhere. Not quite sure what's gone on there for Mike Sleater.
Elijah Weiss still with a good ride. This is good to see him out there. His time's only, again, he's the same. He's only dropped a few seconds off his fastest lap time for the race, so he's still pushing it out there, which is great to see.
Yeah, he's a great young rider. Not so young anymore. He's still youngish, but still got plenty of years left in him. And he does exceptionally well in the local races over in South Australia. Great to see him on the national platform here, doing what he does, riding such a tough day, tough track.
They got the toughest part of the track.
Yeah, the last race of the day.
Last race of the day. So, what are you doing on the weekend? I'm just going to have a fun ride at a national track, beat myself up on the hardest part of the day.
You know what would be really good would be to have some GoPro footage from someone like a Regan Duffy. I would love to see GoPro of some of his finest laps that he did in that second moto. Yeah. That would be great to look at and check out in HD, that's for sure.
His line selection, it would be really good to study, wouldn't it?
Yes. Well, we're on the final lap here in Moto number 2 of the 125cc 2-stroke class, and Dylan Long in first place, stretched his lead out to almost 20 seconds now over Jack Simpson, and he's staring down the barrel of an overall victory here. What a ride it's been. He's really found his form in the ruts. He hasn't made many mistakes in this race, and that's been the big difference between him and the rest of the pack.
Looking over his shoulder just then to see where the next rider is. Still looking over his shoulder, making sure there's no one there. Don't worry, no one is even close enough to challenge for this victory off you at the moment, mate.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a wave, hand in the air to the crowd as you can see in the background, someone's throwing the horns up there. He's pretty pumped. The fans are going wild here at Wonthaggi. They've stuck it out the main class is all he's done. He's got a little bit of... Look, we need to keep the camera on him at the moment because he's doing some very special riding for us that looks a little bit Ronnie Mack style. So let's go in nice and close on him because he's putting on a very spectacular show for us.
Well, only a couple of turns to go right now for our race leader, Dylan Long, on the 13. He had to work for it this time around. As he heads towards the finish line, he will receive the checkered flag and a win for Dylan Long, and a beautiful, beautiful style.
Ronnie Mack, eat your heart out.
Across the finish line right there.
Fantastic race win for Dylan Long, and it won't be too long, and here we see him, Jack Simpson, about to come up and over the finish line and take second place there. Great job for Simo. He did end up getting a victory in race 1, but it wasn't quite enough. It was second place here in Moto 2. A little bit of a excursion there for a number 57 on the KTM. And it looks like Elijah Weesey is going to make his way through for third place overall.
What a fantastic day of racing, Lee, we've had here at Wonthaggi. They've thrown all the elements at us and really delivered some fantastic racing.
Yes, they certainly have. Just in the background there, looked like someone tucked the front wheel on that notorious corner, that right-hander where we saw so much action. Sky is really struggling to come through. Great job. Smoke coming out the back of the 125. We love to see that from the 2 strokes. Probably a little bit of castor oil in there. And what a way to finish the day here. Like you said, we've had so many different weather bands come across. We've had rain, we've had sunshine, we've had hail, then we've had more rain. And our poor offsider Rihanna has been stuck out there while we've been here inside our nice little booth. But I must say, for the riders, they've really copped it on the chin and they've embraced it. We see Jack Simpson here. Dylan Long's coming through. He's about to pop his bike up on the stand, and celebrations are about to be underway, I feel, Danny.
I'm surprised they're still able to lift it up.
Be waiting for the mechanic to lift it up. Let's have a look at the results here. 125cc 2-stroke moto number 2. Dylan Long takes the win on the Yamaha YZ 125. Jack Simpson in second place on the Gas, and Elijah Weesey rounding out the top 3. Also Yamaha mounted. Josh McLean, Ryan Butler, Jake West, Michael Sleater back there in 7th place. Jake Desward, Zach Williams and Benjamin Wright. That rounds out our top 10.
Last thing you want to do at a point like this is be the last guy on the track and tuck the front wheel.
No, you don't want to do it, especially if the TV cameras are on you and you're having some
I didn't know that was going to come up on screen.
Mate, that was a very, very good prediction.
I think I've been there, though, so that's why I brought it up.
I think we all have. And that's very close to wrapping up the end of this race in the 125's Moto 2. Here we have our top 3 place getters. That looks to be number 60, Josh McLean. He's down there on the podium. We see Dylan Long just pulling up the top there and showing us the dad bod. He did that for us. Let's have a look here. Penrite ProMX Championships next round. Round 2 is at Canberra Motorcycle Track in the ACT, and that, of course, is on May the 2nd. Do not miss out. We've got all the same live coverage and, of course, live streaming to come your way. Make sure you don't miss out on the ASBK. We mentioned it earlier. That is round 3 at Wakefield Park in New South Wales, and that's certainly one not to miss. There was so much action happening at round 1 between a couple of the superstars there, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come throughout the remainder of the series. And of course, last but not least, the Australian Off-Road Championships. These guys certainly know how to wind the wick up. Have a look at that, launching off those tyres there. These guys get all kinds of conditions thrown at them. And there's no, oh, we're going to water the track here, when the track is like kilometre after kilometre long. You get what you're given here. And have a look at that roof shot. Great job. All right, guys, time to go down to Rihanna. What do you got for us?
Yeah, here's our podium for the Moto 2 of the 125 2-stroke cup. In 3rd position, we have Elijah Weesh. Elijah, just tell us about your day.
Epic day. Started off not too good in the first moto. I lack fitness on a bike due to a full-time job. So it was it's been good fun, and that last moto was a bit better. I found a bit of a groove, and yeah, had some fun with it.
Congratulations on the podium, and in 2nd place he took out the victory for Moto 1, but he's on the podium again. Jack Simpson, congratulations.
Cheers, thanks heaps. Little Gas 125 was going awesome all weekend. Had a little goggle malfunction on the line, but that's all good. Got second, got on the podium. Happy.
Enjoy the celebrations and taking out the victory for the final moto of the day. Dylan Long, you were proudly showing off the dad bod. You had a burger and a Coke just to celebrate. Congratulations.
Nah, thanks heaps. I wrapped up my racing career like 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago now, and since then we've just been having a bit of fun with it, and this was really fun. I can't stress that enough. Yeah, we've had a really good day, and Spew and I went down in the first on the first lap. I crashed and come back to second, so that's good. But yeah, the second race was really fun. Me and Jack were battling out the front there, and yeah, I can't be happier. Just huge thanks to the WBR guys. They've done the bike up for me and got me out of the house to come to a race, so it's really good of them. Fist, Handwear and Alpine Stars, couldn't have done it without them either.
Congratulations to all of our guys on the podium today in the 125 two-stroke cup. We had Elijah Weiss, Jack Simpson and Dylan Long. We've had a fantastic start to the ProMX Motocross Championship here in Australia. Live television for the very first time. We've had spectators here. We've had all sorts of weather throwing it up, but we've had some fantastic racing. We look forward to seeing you for round 2 of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores at Canberra, the 2nd of May. I hope you can join us. Thanks for watching.